Warning, this podcast has some swears in it.
I'd rate it PG-13 at most, but let's just be on the safe side and say viewer discretion is advised. Time to raise your blades, heroes.
And check some vibes.
It's the Hero's Blade Vibe Check.
Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. No, please don't fucking engage. Don't engage. No, please don't fucking engage. Don't 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 engage. No, please don't fucking engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. No, please don't fucking engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage.
So I went to go see Transformers 1 today.
Nice. Tell me about that.
If you have no prior information about Transformers, you can go in and be pleasantly surprised and understand everything that's happening, and also probably get a few chills up your spine as you watch the movie. It's pretty awesome.
I do like to look at Giant Robot.
Because it's a day off here in Canada land, or at least here in BC. At least for me and Fitz, we didn't have work today, but it was like, oh yeah, let's go. And then you realize, like, you look around the theater, there's a bunch of kids, and you're like, nah, you know what? I don't give a fuck, man. This movie is awesome. And I came out the end of it, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty fucking sick. But there was a post-credit scene, so they kind of hit us with the Marvel post-credit scene, and we missed out on that. So just, if you're gonna go watch it, keep an eye out for that.
Well, I am probably not gonna go outside to see that, but if I watch it on video or something, then maybe. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till it shows up for free, or other methods. So yeah, we got.
It's easy to rent a movie, so I'm not like worried about that.
No, but yeah, I do encourage you to go watch it. And in case you didn't hear that absolutely lovely laugh, just now, we have the lovely MrFitzyFitz here today. What's good, Fitz?
Hello. Talking about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
That's what we're fucking here for. Thanks so much for joining us, Fitz. It's so lovely to have you.
Yeah, it's cool to start to hang out.
Do you want to tell the people online where you're from, like, what you're like at online and where they can find you and what you get up to, all of that?
If they want to find me on the internet, it's pretty much anywhere at MrFitzyFitz. I kind of got that one locked down across like every video game I play.
Nice.
And
the commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just,
dude.
a little consistency. I sometimes have a podcast called Casual Sevens where I talk about Magic the Gathering.
And it's a fucking banger. I put on the Sunday best every time to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
The couple times a year when it comes out.
Hey, look, you know what? You've had like an episode for almost every quarter so far this year. So like you're meeting the minimum quota, so
Yeah.
you're good to go
Chloe
there.
and I can attest to the fact that good content takes time to make, and y'all make good content, so take your time.
Are we
Eventually
looking
there'll be
for
another episode. Eventually.
I was gonna say, are we looking forward to another award show for 2023 or 2024? Or I can't. Most sick ass artwork goes to this random ass card in Bloomborough for some reason, but it's it's okay. Duskmore.
I actually really like the mouse guard artist's art for Mabel, Heir to Cragflame. I think that piece fucking owns. Additionally, I think one of my favorite pieces this year is the glitchy, like, charred foyer warp space and the black room that makes a demon.
The unholy annex half. Yeah. Yeah, they despite, obviously much more smaller space, the extended artwork or alternate artwork versions of the rooms are pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, the charred space one looks trippy as fuck.
Yeah, it's bananas.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to putting that in a deck. Pretty
It's so
damn
good. I saw
soon.
you recently picked up a copy, posting the singles in the Bling channel.
I bought a bunch of red stuff. Untimely Malfunction, I think, will probably be one of my favorite red spells to pull off. Someone pulled that shit off on me the other day, 2 games in a fucking row, and both times I was like, fuck, if I wasn't on the receiving end of this would be fucking awesome, but it fucking blows. Because as it turns out, destroy target artifact, redirect a spell, and up to 2 creatures can't block are all pretty damn good modes at instant speed. And especially when someone's like, "Oh, you only have 2 blockers on someone else's turn. How about they blast you and send you to the secret layer zone?" And you're like, "You fucking dick." But anyway, so let's just quickly go over the elephant in the room, or maybe wait for that. But let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Some stuff's happened the last couple weeks. And
yeah,
couple,
yeah,
it's been one, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the wilder
part. It's been cover to cover 7 days.
Shit. You wake up.
So
you're
anyway,
like,
some cards are banned now. You already know what they are if you're an enfranchised enough Magic the Gathering player to be listening to my podcast, and you already know the kind of Magic the Gathering that we play around these parts, so you probably know how we feel about those. And any other stuff is just baseless speculation, and we don't have any information to talk about it, so we don't need to go over it.
It's business as usual, essentially.
Right.
Through the power of communication, you can still build and find the games and communities you want.
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding.
And again, I really don't think I'm going to be doing anything different with these ban announcements and everything. I'm probably going to still end up playing with, the same people. And that's exactly where I want to be. So I hope everyone gets the same opportunity.
Right, that's enough of that. Into the vibe checks.
All right, hold on. Let me take it out back. Just out. Fitz, I'd rather ask you this, because I know you don't got it on the list, but I think I got something in mind. Do you got a commander recently, or a commander you got that you think passes the Heroes?
Yeah, I just didn't know what to put there, because I haven't built a new deck in, fucking forever, and I just took apart, 20 of them.
You sure did, but that doesn't mean you can't look back on some commanders fondly and think about which of those maybe would have benefited from the Hero's Blade.
Oh man, what slaps really hard?
Oh, I know what slaps really hard. It's this the Cyclops, who's also a berserker, and he and he liked watching another one-eyed creature get cloned a bunch and a bunch of coins get flipped. Okun would have picked that sword, and he would have been very big. And
you would have loved a Hero's Blade.
Yeah, a little bit quicker on the draw for sure, but holy fuck.
I don't even hate that on Cinder Split. I feel like she's a 4/6 with that equipped, and that's not nothing. I'll turn that sideways.
And a good blocker too to deter people
blocks for days.
Attacking you to death.
It's everyone always again. We're only 24 episodes in, and it's always surprising when you're like, damn, that +2 really coming in clutch for a lot of these these blocks. And people are like, damn, if I block that, nothing happens. Or they're like, oh man, if I double block to try to kill this thing, I have to really commit. And as it turns out, when you're a Magic the Gathering player, doing math works out for you. And it's pretty good. I was thinking you're a Temsis deck, probably, also, even though, it's more of
I don't really
flying
attack
creature
with a Tempsis.
Yeah, I would categorize that as it feels a bit more like a combo deck than anything that wants to be going to combat.
True. Yeah. I guess maybe Merit Lage also does. It goes from 20, but you're not winning any commander. Maybe you're not.
There's no win like win more.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, but does it help when she already has 20 power?
Well, I mean, look, you're not doing commander damage, so you're obviously missing out until Papa Watsy is finally fine, we'll make an actual legendary creature called Merit Lage, and you can put it in the command zone. But
They better not.
Well, if they ever
Never
do,
put that
they
thing in the
should
command zone.
hit me up so I can give them some art pointers, because I think I've commissioned more art of Meryl Age than Wizards of the Coast has.
Oh fuck! Every
You do have
time
quite the collection of Merit Lages.
did you finally get the playmat from the last one that you just did?
No, I checked on Friday, it didn't show up, but Buddy said it was in the mail, and last time he said that, it only took me a couple days to get the tokens from him. He's in like California or some shit, so
Oh, okay.
probably like tomorrow after work or something, it'll be sitting there waiting for me.
Fingers
Sweet.
crossed. No person is a bigger Eldritch noodle appreciator than you, Fitz. And you got two of them in your corner, but it's mostly about Mirror Lich.
Yeah, we love to see a man dedicated to that 2020 flying indestructible legendary token.
And maybe more than one of them if you're so lucky.
But Cole, that's illegal.
Yeah, not until you throw out Sakashima or like Mirror Box or God knows what else. So Quinn, you got one on this list here.
Yeah, I was thinking about Cedrus the Traitor King, particularly in the context of my Grixis Reanimator deck. And I don't know if Cedrus needs the buff from the Hero's Blade. He's already a 5/5, and I don't attack with him because he's a rare from a decade ago.
Well, he's
and
actually a
costs 6
mythic.
Oh,
He's
my
a
bad.
mythic.
I'll show some respect. He's a mythic
Hold on
from a
here.
decade ago.
Listen.
And they were costing effects differently back then.
Well, when you think about Alara in general, when you think about the quote-unquote old commander staples from back in the day, like Cedrus the Traitor King and Rafik of the Many and all that other stuff, like, yeah, those were mythic tier back then. It's not so surprising to see them downshifted on reprints, but all right, correction out of the way, though. Correction aside.
Correction out of the way. I cannot turn Cedrus sideways unless I'm literally winning that turn, because he costs so much that if he gets blocked in combat and dies, or I get hit with a combat trick or whatever, then I just that investment is gone, and I do have
No more
backup reanimator plans, but the deck is built around Cedrus. I just cannot suffer losing him, which is also why I'm not blocking with his ass. So there's no point.
Yeah, I don't want to spend fucking 10 mana on him again.
Yeah, that is something that I've been coming up against a lot recently because of a newer deck, which maybe I'll use that as a transitionary point here for my vibe check of Anti-Flash. I would say in particular, my Anti-Flash the Veteran deck doesn't qualify because of how I want to use her, but I think Anti-Flash in any other context is fine. But then I realized, as I was, making this Anti-Flash Curses deck, that, everyone's like, well, she came out from Thunder Junction, and that is a prime time mount and vehicle deck. And I'm like, oh, yeah, people don't just want to turn your 6-mana Flash 4/5 sideways when you have all these other tools to start exiling the top card of your library while also enabling, your mount creatures and your vehicles. So yeah, I found that I'll go to combat and maybe I could put a Hero's Blade in, but I found it in general that most people are pretty good to let a 4/5 through because they're like, nah, I don't want to lose my little utility dude. You're like, all right, cool, sound works for me. But yeah, in that case, Anti-Flash, I don't think in general. And Honest Rutstein from the same set also doesn't, because he's very much a utility piece by being the cost reducer for creatures and also grave digging one of your creatures back, So that's what I found, at least some of the decks that I've made recently, which is fine. Sometimes you just play a creature or commander to just non-combat things, despite as much as it frickin' tilts you into the sun.
Listen, I appreciate combat, but sometimes there are things that don't need to see combat, and you advance the game state meaningfully via the reduction of life totals with other means.
True, and I have some other means to talk about once we get to some stuff later. So, community comments. I'm just going to open with this one from Lenny, because I just thought it was so funny from my speech. My very impassioned speech about card draw in Commander. To which Lenny just says, Cold really just said, Fitz, stop drawing so many cards.
That's like asking a tiger to change its stripes, though.
It's true.
I can't change who I am.
You're quite set in your
never.
ways.
I would simply Rune Flare trap your ass about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna...
Wizards keeps loving printing card draw, punishing cards, and I just, take it
Oh
on the
boy!
chin.
Oh boy, do they! Oh,
Yeah, I think you've drawn enough cards to find the interaction for it, though, so you're fine.
it's just you gotta lose like 10 life on your way there first.
Every once in a while, yeah.
As a treat.
Speaking of drawing cards, I see Fitz here. You've quit playing Smothering Tithe in all but 2 decks. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, it's just like it's a 4-mana enchantment that if someone doesn't have interaction for, it usually just wins the game, even if people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like it's no Thran Dynamo. It's often like 2
Well-
of them stapled together every turn cycle.
Lenny.
And the exchange rate's terrible. Like you're gonna fucking pay 2
The
mana to
exchange rate
deny
really
someone 1
fucking
mana. Like,
sucks.
like that's bad. I never do. I don't even pretend I'm ever going to. It's like, no, why? It's a lot. I lose too many resources. The other person gains too many.
It's Lenny said the other night we were playing with him, and he's like, baseline, if no one does anything crazy for that first turn cycle, you make your own colored Thran Dynamo, but then the rate can swing from everyone is somehow being responsible, which I don't know where you got that 2 mana from to be paying that, but on the other hand is like the minute you start
Obviously,
getting...
you got it from playing green. We're playing artifacts.
Oh, okay, all right. Fair enough.
That Soul Ring pays that tax nicely. Why don't you tap that for me?
Yeah, no. Well, in that case, Soul Ring or Soul Talisman, it is paying for that for sure. But God, two mana is such an aggressive cost.
Yeah, I've kind of changed how I respond to Smothering Tide, just like a tiny bit. I pay for everyone past the first one usually, unless I'm like swimming in mana, in which case I pay for every one of them. But if I'm gonna draw the extra cards, then I'll pay up, and otherwise, you can have your Gilded Lotus. I'm not blowing it up yet.
I usually just try and blow it up right away, but that obviously the way I like to play Magic kind of forces me to when playing against that card. It's that or I will be the one giving away the game. Or I can't cast my spells because they all have draw card written on them.
No, the consequences of my actions. No.
I think that's fair. If you're going to be like responsible for potentially putting a bunch of Smothering Tithe triggers on this deck, then yeah, it's up to you to prioritize blowing it up. I see that.
But yeah, I think I realize now in retrospect, I think I had 3 in my collection, and I think I still have 2 because I traded one into a store. Because I was like, well, I don't know. And then I went through my collection again to find some stuff for Anti-Flash and some other stuff. I'm like, where the fuck did this second Smothering Tithe come from? And then like, at some point I just feel like, I don't know, it's just not worth it because it forces a play pattern or an expectation that I'm just not willing to uphold or really enjoy. So I just don't play it, and that's just going to be the end result. But I'll play Curse of Silence on turn 1 and name
your commander.
I'll name someone's fucking commander.
Oh man, format is this? Is this Brawl?
Yeah, is this? Am I playing MTG Arena? Yeah, no, it's fucking brutal sometimes, but yeah. So one other comment from Claire from the last episode we were talking about the Red Death, which God, I do love that card, and I can't wait to get that hybrid Is It room to get in there because it kind of meshes pretty well with
A
it.
roaring furnace, steaming sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really solid in pretty much every blue-red deck, but especially your deck because you have such a big hands on.
I love boiling crabs. It's very tasty. But also, I love boiling my opponents with this bullshit. So Claire says here, to my comment, the structure's weird, but I'm pretty sure this is in reference to Claire's previous comment. So it's like, to my comment, I refuse to not every 4 months type out a message while sleep deprived and unable to be read. It is the curse of having me as a fan. Which I love.
Any other way, Claire. Thank you so much.
That bloody goad crab has ruined me in the past. Goad is underlooked as a fun bit of control for decks that just needs a win condition outside of goad to cook hard. I mean, one key instance here and there is great compared to like pissing everyone off by being like, cool, I'm gonna cast Disrupt Quorum every fucking turn. You're just like, holy fuck, man. I say as I remember my Carter Doomscourge deck that I had last year.
No.
Oh, I was right in the sauce. It was fucking great. And then they're like, man, but this sucks though. And I'm like, I mean, it's kind of awesome, but like, I do see the point. It's pretty fucking frustrating when it's not the 99. Yeah, so just to finish up here, Claire also says, life gain is stinky poo-poo.
So true, bestie.
But for real, knowing how to win with aggro or control or any strat is just as important as knowing your weakness. And for aggro life, I thought the aggro life, that's what I read it is for finishing the sentence. But for aggro, life gain can be that. And yeah,
exactly.
Which is why you shut that shit down.
It's just about knowing what you lose to and building accordingly.
So speaking about the life gain thing, I don't think I'd put this on the deck or games part. I was playing against the new Valgavoth, the Rakdos one from the Precon.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine he bought it and he updated it. So, get a One Ring in there and all that other stuff. No, he got
stuff. And a Necropotence and a Jessica's Will.
Nah, he didn't.
He did not. Fortune, maybe.
He didn't. Wheel of Misfortune, luckily.
It's my upgraded precon, bro. It's chill, I swear.
He also put Razorkin Needlehead in the deck, and you can imagine how well that went. But there were so many times that your game actions would be punished for literally doing anything as that you would expect for playing that deck. He had Ferocious Ferocidon and that Magebane Lizard from Thunder Junction. So every time you cast a non-creature, you take a damage for each non-creature that you cast that turn, and that thing fucking hurts. So while everyone's at a healthy 30-something, I'm at 10 at some point. Because I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to,
storm off.
Bro, stop storming.
No, it was... And then, someone attacked me, and I'm like, God, I'm not surviving this game. But, at some point, I was like, okay, Ferocidon's gone. That took another damage or 2 damage to pull that shit off, to which I start using Blind Obedience as Extort to start gaining that life back. And I went from 10 to over 20, and people were like, okay, buddy, it's time to shut that shit down. But I was like, look, I'm trying to, do stuff to make sure you don't win the game. And everyone's, looking over at Valgavoth, I'm not gonna lie, I can't do anything about that. I'm like, oh my god, why does it gotta be me? So
when the Valgavoth deck puts a Mogus on the battlefield, you kind of just have to shrug and accept that this is the game state now.
Well, you say that, and that did happen. So, I can see why that deck, Precon is apparently over $100 or just about $100.
Precon fucking shreds.
It's
really
so
strong.
Busted. But yeah, so you do what you gotta do to get rid of the life gain the same way that you deal with getting rid of the thing preventing you from gaining life. So, that is the life. But yeah. Moving on here, Quinn.
Yeah.
We are going to go out of vibe checks and community stuff. Also, hey, everyone, thanks again. you were recently on a podcast.
Yeah, the homie Cody over at Brew Review had me on to talk about gaming and Owling Mine in particular, and so that was a fun time. Check that out to hear what we had to say about that.
It's a good listen. It's really nice, really enjoyable. I guess also, hey, Legendary Creature Podcast is getting their review out for Duskmorn. So the Legendary Creatures episode just came out. The 99, I assume, is coming out pretty soon. If you want a way to engage in learning what the cards of the set are while also laughing your ass off over some of the reviews, also figuring out what card is called dog shit or whatever, that is the place you want to go. Quinn had a review for Legendary Creature.
Yeah, we reviewed Marina Vandrel, of course.
I expect nothing less. And
It's also a good way to kill 3 hours, because every one of their episodes is like about that long.
oh fuck, I love long form fucking
True.
content. So sure as shit, like the next one, like I put a couple submissions in for the 99, so I'm hoping it makes the cut or whatever. I don't know why I'm assuming something they goofed with the submission form last time, so I'm hoping I'm looking forward to the next one. Speaking of long form content, I just gotta say that when I'm looking over at the Bullcast, or I'm looking at Harold's Horn, when I see that number go up and up and up like every week, there's a part of me that's like, yes, keep going, join us in the 2 hour plus mark. And it's just, I love seeing the number go up. I do gotta shout out the last Bullcast episode. That one was really funny because they were doing it live at Commander Sealed, and just the last story of you're like, this is not a real person of this story.
They
This is a
described an
fictional
absolute lad.
An absolute
Who,
fictitious.
by the way, is absolved of all sin.
Every once in a while you hear about the most ridiculous person you've ever met, and you're like, this person cannot exist, and then they do, and then you're like, carry on. keep going, I guess.
Yeah, you really just gotta nod and move on with that one.
I'm
What are you
being
gonna
as
do?
ambiguous as possible because, like, you have to listen to the story. It's so funny. But yeah, other than that, I mean, content's been pretty short lists for this episode, or in this week, or this couple weeks, I guess. So
We're making it right now, though, Cole.
oh yeah, so that's I mean, that's what we're all here for, right? So
yeah, exactly.
let's keep her going.
Yeah, speaking of making it here right now, let's get into these fucking decks and games.
Yeah, Fitz, you said you just took a bunch of decks apart. How does it feel?
It was a little sad at first. I was like, oh, I have so many commander decks, and not all of them, like, was maybe in love with. I originally wanted to brew one deck for every color combo, and I did that, like, probably in, like, early 2020. I finished it.
Oh, nice.
After working at it for a few years. Then I was just, like, updating them and trying new stuff, but, like, I'm not really an Aristocrats player, if being honest. And I had, like, multiple Aristocrats decks, and I was like, why do I have these? If I just consolidated it to the one commander that, like, brought me the most joy to pilot of those decks, like, the gameplay experiences weren't divergent enough for me. So then I thought long and hard about it, and I was like, I got a lot of, like, green stompy decks that Castle Wallace Stampede and win with your variety of 6/6s or 7/7s. I was like, well, what if I just had a couple of those instead of, like,
5
10?
or 6? Yeah. No, I had that.
Just shit like that, and it made me more excited about the decks I kept, and then, kind of gonna go from there. I'm gonna try and stick at 22. I don't want to, like, go above that number as maybe a goal.
When I hit people the other week with I had 40 decks, and this was after I had purged a bunch of decks, and I'm still in the middle of doing it. I added more to the pile because, as it turns out, when you're trying to de-sleeve several 100 card decks in a row, it takes up a lot of fucking time. So, like, you'll be sitting there for 3 hours. You're like, I'm still not fucking done. Holy shit, man. So,
Yeah, that's why mine are still in sleeves. I just took the deck boxes out of like where the ones I store that I play all the time, and I put them in a closet.
okay. I mean, hey,
It also makes it easy to go find cards. Like, oh yeah, this card was in X deck. I can just go fucking dig it out of the closet and pull
And
the
that
card
was-
I want.
That's the other thing, too, was, like, when I was taking these decks apart, and even, like, if I thought about it, like, a month or two beforehand, I'm like, where the fuck is this one card? I swear I have it. And then I just realized I have a deck online with my brother that I'm pretty sure he hasn't played because he's a putz, but whatever. And I know the Rhystic Study and the foil Dragon Lord Silumgar is in that deck because it's a Grixis deck. But I'm like, where the fuck is XYZ card? And then you take apart, I think it's gonna be 16 decks now. I'm like, oh, this is where this thing has been this whole fucking time. And then
Yeah, and some deck you haven't played for 6 months, and I was going through the same thing, or longer. And it's like, well then, is it really a deck you play?
Yeah, and I was thinking
if you don't play it in like 6 months to a year.
And I was thinking about that again, like Quinn, when you told me, and maybe we're talking about like a mono black deck, but I also think you said, or maybe you said mono red. I'm pretty sure it was mono red, where I was like, well, I had 5 mono red decks, and you were like, well, now it's time to take it all apart and combine it into the mega one. And I thought about when I talked about Neheb the Eternal a few months ago, and I was thinking about my Zakama on the shelf. Teshar is getting the cut, for example. I'm like, if I'm gonna keep a mono white deck together between the three of them, it's Quende and Al the Dawn Sky and Teshar. And I'm like, okay, Al can stick around because I do want to keep a super fucked up deck around for me.
You gotta have a sharp knife.
You know, no Jeweled Lotus, no Mana Crypt or whatever, but I'm still put Soul Ring and Soul Talisman in, and when you put both of those out at the same time off an Owl trigger, you're like, yeah, this deck's fucked up. But like Teshar and Owl kind of did occupy the same space, similar play patterns. So then I realized that, like, yeah, okay, if I was gonna keep one around, it's probably gonna be the more powerful one, I guess. And
yeah, it's gonna be the dragon.
And I think that was also another part of me, like when I was cutting decks, I'm like, I think I'm gonna keep Piper Wright around with my new 4-color Clue deck, because and the same thing with Inquisitor Eisenhorn, because although the concept is similar, they deploy it in different ways enough that makes them feel each unique, and also has like different power level. In terms of just functionality, like you add more colors, the ceiling could go way higher. So like I feel like keeping those around or testing it out and seeing how it feels. But yeah, some of the older decks that just needed to go, and you know, Zakama might be another one because I now have a new Naya deck that I'm way too obsessed over.
When was the last time you played your Zakama deck?
It was this year. It was, of course, also not... It was up to no good, as expected. Yeah. It's a landfall deck. I got, like, Admonition Angel and one of the Kodamas and Avenger Zendikar, while also just blowing up everyone's shit. And everyone's like, can you please stop doing it? And then you throw...
That's the problem with Zakama decks. You land Zakama, and then you have control of the game, but how are you winning? Please win the game. Turn Zakama sideways.
I'm turning Zakama sideways. I'm turning her... Well, yeah, no, exactly. Go in the red, you know.
But yeah, get in there for combat damage, and please start killing people.
But that being said, you're right, Fitz. Like, when was really the last time? And then when I think about Neheb and the people I've been playing with, and I'm like, they're functionally at a different level of, like, you know, if you want to define it by something like high power, not CDH, but high power, I'm operating at a different level than what the other people were. And they were like, damn, that deck slaps. And I'm like, yep, back on the shelf. So in this case, I think Neheb and my mono red Mishra deck is getting the cut to condense or remake Urabrask Heretic Praetor from New Capenna. because we got new exile tech a la the Charred Room.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if I can.
What's more than just the Charred Room? There was like that Party Thrasher from Modern
Party
Horizons
Threat. Yeah,
3.
exactly. That was
There's the fucking amulet that lets you like burns the table whenever you cast a spell from or other in your hand.
Yeah.
Lots of
Passionate Archaeologist going right back in that list, which is like it's gonna be a good feeling.
There's that Flaming T-Rex too that I think came out since then.
Yeah, there was a couple in Doctor Who.
Yeah. And then there's the Nalfishni from
Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, and then we have that Warhammer 40k demon that I can't
Keeper
think
of Secrets.
There we go. Yeah, like just fucking blast people, copy your spells, do this, do that. So like,
it's pretty fucked.
Yeah,
Yep.
no. So
the archetype has gotten quite a bit of support than when I first fell in love with it back when Cerkera the Bold was released.
yeah, it's
5 years ago.
We've
I
gone
used to
places.
just be like tapping Cerkera the Bold to deal 1 damage to target player and exiling the top of my library, and I'm like, this is the peak of red card advantage. Nothing has ever been this sick.
Oh,
I might as well have played Ancestral Recall just now.
yeah, no.
Fucking see that, gamers.
We
And
are
now
in.
there's fucking tech and you can get rewarded for playing the cards from exile. I don't think you could do that back then. Like, we were just
No.
casting spells from exile for the fucking love of the game. And
Well,
now
it
you
was
can do
also-
because you're trying to get these triggers off.
Well, like the impulse, how they've also changed like impulse effects in red, like red card draw has like gotten better because of the nuances of you're able to play this card now this turn versus you can do it on your next end step or your next turn or whatever. You're like, okay, where is this good? Like NT Seneschal of the Sun was a card that I love it, and I had it in Odric, but the problem was the timing issue. And sometimes you're like, I don't want to wait to crack a blood token to help trigger NT and then wait till my turn to play the card, because sometimes it can blow up in my face. And then if you accidentally do it proactively and you just don't have the mana or the resources to cast your super awesome Gisela or something, like you just lost your resource. And that's also something
That's
about
playing red, babes.
and that's anti-flash too, where it's like you got to play that card this turn. And you're like, fuck. Which is also lands and stuff.
Gotta smoke him right away. Can't let him age.
Smoke them when you got them.
So yeah, I've learned my lessons. So yeah, Urabresk will be back in some way, shape, or form. Also with a Razorkin Needlehead in it, because if you are going to be drawing cards at some point, I'm going to make sure you're punished for not for doing that. So, God, that card is so sweet. I love that thing.
Fitz, tell me about one that you're excited to have like together.
What, that I kept?
Mm-hmm.
My Tolsmere Wolfblood deck. I fucking love that deck.
Yeah.
You put a lot of work into it.
Mm-hmm.
I only run
Every one of
creatures
those
that are
cards in
both
that deck.
colors, and yeah. It's sweet. I love it. They keep printing good new ones. There was 2 cards in the Clue set that were fucking.
Oh my god!
Felt like
that
they made
card
them
from
for
the
me.
The myriad elephant was one of them. You talked
It
about
just
that.
makes more of them, and it spirals out of control rapidly. I got stomped by that elephant by that deck, and it was. I'd never seen anything like that. There were so many elephants. What a
Yeah,
cool card.
Brandon didn't know what the fuck was going on stream. He's like, "Why am I taking so much damage? Why are there so many elephants?"
Well, you
and then
can't-
he's like, "I'm dead." And then Quinn, you're like, "Well, we're all dead." So he's like, "What's
Yeah.
going on?"
This is what happens when you're out of the game. Like Brandon. And then he's like, I'm going to run my 5-color legend. And Fitz said, all right, cool, elephants. He's like, the fuck?
Oh, whoa, elephants be upon ye.
Damn, these elephants have hands. What was the other card from the Clue set that you added to the deck?
It's like a Titan. It's a 6-mana 4/4. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you make a star equal the number of creatures you have. You make whatever that
I
elemental is
remember
called.
that. I don't remember what the.
I can't remember the name of it. It's an elk
is.
in the art.
Oh, jeez, that's brutal. Yeah,
Yeah, both of them are just really, really good
they
in that deck.
of the few things, like seeing all like the clue characters.
Vernal Sovereign.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think I remember that one, but yeah, like they definitely cooked with some of the cards that were in that clue product.
Yeah, they've got
really
some
did.
extremely interesting designs in there. I think the I forget Frenzied Gore Spawn. Yeah. That
Yeah!
guy and goad some guys and give some guys menace. That's a real shit stirrer. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, because it gives menace to creatures that are attacking your opponents, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that Frontier Warmonger.
Frontier, I love Frontier Warmonger.
And then when it enters the battlefield, you goad one creature
goad.
from each player.
Yeah, huge.
I think that's pretty strong because like Frontier Warmonger is just like a suggestion. This one is like you're using this menace, okay?
I'm trying to remember. It's five mana for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three red, black.
3 red black, yeah. It does go into that Ishin Obosh deck, even if...
It does. I had it in
Yeah.
the build that I had prototyped.
Damn, that's sick. I also
Put that
remember...
together, dude.
I think maybe, depending on... I gotta try out Arabella in my Ishin list first before I, like, do anything, because that little fucking sick, twisted... toy is kind of fucked up in that particular list because I have all those. I have a bunch of those 1/1s that drain on attack.
Mm-hmm. And she'll just like burn everybody for all your shitty little 1/1s, and you're taking burn from all of your shitty little 1/1s attacking with their
have them
triggers.
have menace with Frontier Warmonger or Irois or something. It's fucking it's great.
It's a hot mess.
I was reading our Discord earlier, Fitz, or maybe I read it somewhere else, or maybe in Arena of the Ancients, but. You are thinking of a new way to, or where to take your Merit Lage deck.
Yeah, it's just more committing to playing like lands matters cards in the 99, rather than because like I use Traxic Grand Unifier as the commander, and you look at the top 10 cards and you get one card for each card type. So I kind of played like a variety. Like I have enchantments and fucking artifacts and instants and sorceries to ramp me. I was thinking just solidifying it more to just playing more green cards. Green is really powerful, and it finds lands like there aren't that. It's hard to find like the Dark Depths pieces with green cards, but just more ramping to help mitigate the fact that my deck wants to blow up 2 lands as quickly as possible.
Like almost right away. I still can't get over the fact that
sometimes it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that they put Thespian Stage and Dark Depths in that Omo deck.
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Dude.
No, but that being
Play
said...
every lands deck from all of those 60 card formats in the same deck.
Yeah,
Because if you're a lands gamer, you're a lands gamer. You don't care what exactly if it's Cloud Post, if it's fucking
I do
deserts.
want them to... I don't know how you flesh out that idea more, but every time I've seen Omo be played, my hatred for Simic diminishes, but then you see Lenny play Simic bullshit like 2 times in a row, and you're like, nah, this ain't okay, man. But like anytime I see Omo, I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of cool.
I think Omo's a pretty cool and interesting design. I mean, at the end of the day, it does end up being like Simic lands bullshit, but like you at least get to feel like a clever mage along the way.
Yeah,
the Simic mage is dressing it up nice for the table this time. They put a little hat on it.
They put on their
bullshit.
Their
I
Sunday
put a
best.
cute little tie on it, like a little dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, that's silly. That's okay now.
And then it bites you because they didn't put the muzzle on. You're like, what the fuck?
You had to jump through a couple of hoops. It's pretty cute now.
I was thinking, because I've seen Lenny play the new Kiani or whatever.
Yeah. Corrupted Memory, I think.
Corrupted Memory, and what do you play? Inga and Essica.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of think about what those types of decks do, but especially the new one from Duskborn, because he's like, well, I sure do love Prophet of Krufix in the command zone. And you're just like, Holy fuck! At least it's like
You only
somewhat
get
still
the flash portion.
Yeah, the
of
flash
Profit
parts,
Perfects.
though.
He has to find the untaps in the 99, and we do kill those on site because you can't have Profit
no more
We ban
Seaborn
cards
news.
for being that good.
But then like I also think about the recent. I think about Nadu, and how they talked about the design before they changed it, before shipping it, and you're like. Creatures you could cast creatures off your top deck with flash, and you're just like
You're just like looking at back and forth between that and Kian, like,
and you're like, so we still got it.
Problem?
We still got it, but like not really. But like, you know,
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of flies on the wall now, but like, yeah, like it's so interesting to see. At least they came out and were like, so yeah, this is what the thought process was, or at least like part of it, and then the deployment result was obviously
Bad.
Format breaking. Although, hold on. Well, that being said, the One Ring is currently the highest play. Any variant of the One Ring is the highest played variant in Modern right now at like 50%.
Yeah, it's 50% of all decks.
Good cards, good.
Like,
More news at 11.
So yeah, so any other like recent changes or considerations now that you've taken a bunch of these decks out? Is there anything that's been redistributed anywhere in particular?
Well, the only things I really moved around were the cards that just got banned. Because I owned one Mana Crypt, one Jeweled Lotus, and they were in decks that didn't really play. And I was like, I could put my Mana Crypt now into my zombie deck. Because like I'm not really trying to do zombie combo stuff. And the Scare of God's fucking ability costs 4 mana. So I was like, it's still powerful, but that was like my gameplay intention. And then I was like, maybe that was short-lived. I never even played a game with it in the deck. But it's fine. It's not,
back to the old build.
Yeah, I just put in fucking Worn Power Stone instead. It's
there we go.
Going to accomplish my goal of generating 2 colorless mana.
Yeah, it'll do the same thing a tiny bit slower.
Other than that, I was like digging out altars and shit I have from other decks and putting them into decks that I'm keeping.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to let that pretty cardboard go to waste.
Yeah, for sure.
I think of I have a Boundless Realms that a friend of mine commissioned for me a few years ago. Like, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a Christmas gift. Like, all of us got our own particular card that was for us, and mine was Boundless Realms, because I played so much Boundless Realms back then.
You used to be
like
a green mage.
I'm thinking I'm back, Quinn.
Fuck.
You know, you were going on your hugs kick, and then now I'm on this anti-flash shit, and I'm like, baby, I'm back. So I had that, and then Aussie Sam made me a the fuck is that spell shaper that does Harrow in blue.
Dreamscape artist.
Yeah, a wonderfully well done Dreamscape artist that is still tucked away in some mono blue deck that's not up to no fucking good. God, I love that card. I love having Harrow in blue. Even if I'm discarding a card, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Get this shit out of here. I'll use it later. No problem.
Yeah, it's like I'm casting Harrow. It's fine.
What do you mean? What's the thumbs down for?
Because it's 6 fucking mana to Harrow once.
With that attitude, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Man, if you're just doing it once and something happens, I mean, it sounds like a skill issue, man. I don't know to tell you. It
doesn't get cheaper the more you do it.
No, but it sure
to do it twice.
I'm still putting way more lands out than
lands.
everyone else is at that table, and I still have cards in hand. And people are like, "Man, we got to do something about this." And then I do it 6 times throughout the course of a game, and I just have a stack of islands out, and they're just like, "All right, this is not cool, man. What the hell?" I gotta.
And if you're playing the fucking new Simone, you're like guaranteed triggering 2 instances of landfall on somebody else's turn.
Yeah.
With that, so you can manifest a dread and then flip something up.
True. Yeah,
You're Emrakul.
All right, relax. Hang on
time.
there.
It's time to scam these face down cards. Let's fucking go.
Just flip up this omniscience real quick.
Yeah. No big deal.
No big deal.
Quinn, what do you got games wise going on right now?
I have a placeholder for Cedric's posting in the document because I've got another post elsewhere where we were formulating thoughts about Cedric.
Elsewhere? It's literally right underneath the part in the doc. That is literally over 50% of the page. We'll hear about it.
No, that's not thoughts about Cedric.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
that whole paragraph is. We'll get there.
Are we going to come back to it? Or?
Well, right now we're on the placeholder for Cedric's posting.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Okay, so I hopped in as the fourth in this Discord game, and Homegirl's talking about how Mael of the Anima, the Naya legend from Alara, is her wife, and the deck that she's going to play is, she just wants to hang out with her wife and their cats, and by cats she means the bombs that we're going to cheat in with Mael, obviously.
Obviously, of course, I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, like Akroma and Avacyn. They're her cats. That's fine. So that leads to some more Alara Legend posting in the chat. Another homegirl in the pod is talking about Sharoom as her wife. That's one of her oldest decks, but she's trying to find another angle with it, reignite the spark in their relationship. And we've all been there. I basically did that with Clothis, and now that deck is kind of hugs with some of my favorite cards from the old list. I decide that this is the perfect time to show off my husband, Cedric the Traitor King. So about that, if gamers don't know, Cedric is a little bit of a signature deck for me, not nearly to the degree that Owling mine is, but it's still
pretty up. It's what I think of, and I think of you if I'm thinking of someone with that type of deck. Yeah,
I guess if you know me from content on YouTube or whatever, you've probably seen Owling mine more often. But in this case, Cedric is it's kind of pretty funny and memorable bit where we have 25 copies of Crawworm in the 99 as placeholders for my forever friends. They're 69 Sphinxes, Demons, and Dragons, and 23 of each for mathematical symmetry. And they're the mechanically iconic creatures of each of those colors, so we're playing like Grixis Kalia.
It has to be seen to be believed, to be honest.
Yeah, so whenever we draw or reveal or mill a Crawworm, we draw a card from the pile, so I basically don't know what's going to be in my deck until we all know, and having to put it all together on the fly is an exhilarating experience. The deck basically only gets changes when a new iconic creature in those colors is released, and it has to be extremely overwhelmingly sick because I assure you we have looked through every one of them above a certain mana value. We have combed through and found my favorites. Not necessarily the best, my favorites.
Yeah.
Because we're playing Goliath Sphinx.
It's a pretty, it's a surprisingly deep pool, but also, I don't know, sometimes you're just like, I gotta cast this one. You're like, what the fuck are you gonna do with this card in this board state? You're just like, gotta figure it out.
Well, attack in the air, obviously.
Well, yeah, worst case.
Almost all of them is a large flyer because once you're looking at mythic rares past a certain mana value, they just get flying because they have to make it worth your time to cast the spell.
They also get swole. They get big power.
Yeah, they're
toughness.
all flying 4/4s if they're dragons, and 4/4 and up if they're dragons, and then 6/6s on almost everything else. So yeah, now that we've got the bit explained, on with the show. We skip our land drop on turn 2 and discard Demon Lord Belzenlock, and I'm sure that's fine, and we'll never see him again.
Oh, jeez, I can already see where this is going.
Surprise bitch, turn 3 we play a land, and we play Dance of the Dead on Daddy Belzenlock, and with his trigger we put an Ilharg the Razeboar, a Discontinuity, and a Stifle into my hand. Dance of the Dead brings them in tapped and only untaps them if you pay them in your upkeep, though. Gamers, let me tell you, Daddy Belzenlock stayed tapping that entire game. We were just did not have the money for that.
Job is done. Did the job.
ETB, draw 3 cards. We'll figure it out from there. Thank you so much, Belzenlock.
Yeah, we appreciate your contributions.
That was, that was all Liliana had to do was like, just chain him down or lock him up somewhere and then just move on with her life. And then none of that Boldus stuff would have happened.
Mm-hmm. So another one of the cards in my pile of Forever Friends, because that's where we got Bells and Lock from. He's from the pile. But another one was Spellbound Dragon, which gets cheers from Homegirl at the table. Because that's that shit that's like, hell yeah, when you're like 13, and you see it again when you're an adult, and you're still like, hell fucking yeah.
Isn't that the 5-drop Is It Dragon that gets +X+O for like instants or sorceries in your graveyard or something?
Very close. It makes me feel extremely clever playing it in a reanimator deck because it is a 5-drop dragon, so it's like worth reanimating. But when it attacks, you draw and discard, and when you discard, it gets +X+O, where X is the mana value of the thing you're discarding. So I get to yeet things like I don't know, 6-drop demons or whatever.
Yeah,
I think there's a Razaketh the Foul-Blooded in the pile, so I could just like give it a +8+O.
And then, have Razaketh in the bin for later.
Yeah, exactly. So a thing that we actually did was discard a Burning Rune Demon so that we could reanimate that later. Ooh. Another friend from the pile.
Okay, alright, I see the vision.
Yeah. At this point in the game, there's a Thalia in play that's tapping all of my creatures, which completely bricks the unearth that Cedrus is giving me. So we're really like having to maneuver around that. And Homegirl on Mael has the Bracers and a Seedborn Views and is putting like a Chroma, Angel of Wrath, and yeah, dude, and a Phyrexian Vindicator into play. Shit is fucked.
Oh, jeez.
Protection from red and from black, that's literally unbeatable.
That's
bro.
literally, yeah. You're like,
that's my whole deck. No.
Where's my mono blue Sphinx that bounces something back? It doesn't matter. It's already
too late. I can't guarantee that I'll see that if I try and... a thing that people ask me about when I cast like Burning Rune Demon, and that deck is like, well, how do you like, what are you tutoring for? And I'm like, I don't know, babes. I'm getting 2 crawl worms. We're gonna find out what they are together.
Oh shit! This is
like all of my staples and interaction and veggies and shit is like on my pile of Forever Friends cards. So they're my best bet at finding the answers to what we need. And in this case, we find a dragon, Moonveil Dragon, and a Shadowborn Demon. So maybe we can kill a Thalia, but we're not fucking touching an Acroma. And at this point, the Mael, because, she's got Seedborn Muse and Bracers, she's Maeling in Godsire and Avacyn, Angel of Hope, and shit is increasing degrees of fucked.
God, I love Avacyn.
We are looking at each other like, what are we gonna fucking do here? And other homie who's on the deck that has a Thalia in the 99, I think they're playing Alesha Little Guys. And, Thalia's a little guy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they realize that they need to get rid of Thalia for the rest of us to potentially have a chance at getting at the Mael player, because, like we discussed, I can't do shit with Unearth if my guys are coming in tapped. The haste means nothing. The exile at the end step is like, we don't have time to do this.
We need to go beep, like, right now.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be hurting the Mael player with the Seedborn Muse.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter to them. So they throw the Thalia away in combat. That frees us to go out and all-out undead attack, because I've got like 5 guys in my graveyard. So we're just gonna fucking push that button a lot. We push the button and grab a Bladewing the Risen. Bladewing brings Moonveil Dragon with it. We also grab an Ilhark the Razeboar, who on attacks cheats in a Shadowborn Demon from earlier. And then there's Lord Xander the Collector, who we also grab. And that guy has Mael discard half her hand and mill half her library on attacks. So things are looking a little bit good. I also have found along the way a Whip of Erebos, so I can maybe stabilize, because my creatures have lifelink when we do this, and we gain a bunch of life, which puts us in a pretty alright position. And the homegirl on Mael is pretty close to death, so maybe the other 2 can take her out, and then I can clean up at the end. That is not how it went down.
I was going to say, I feel like this whole big lead up is just immediately going to go crash and burn into the 3rd act.
Yes.
The hero's journey. Hold
Alesha?
on.
They cast a Breach the Multiverse.
Oh,
And you know how I milled half of Mael's library?
what do they get?
So many pieces to choose from. So they grab the fucking Night Howler from their graveyard. They grab the Terror of the Peaks from Mael. They grab an Abhorrent Overlord from me. And then they get a Tireless Tracker from the homegirl on Dina. And we're just like, shit is royally fucked now in a completely different direction. So all of these enter. Night Howler is huge and fucking points its burn damage at me. And
The
I
abhorrent
die
overlord's making a
instantly.
bunch of
It makes a bunch of
harpies.
1/1s to also put the Terror of the Peaks triggers on the stack. It's all bad, dude. I die. We get very close to killing everybody else, except Mael here is looking at the Alesha gamer, who's at a very low life total, taps Godsire, makes a token, trigger Warstorm Surge. I'm pointing 8 at you.
Yeah,
Alesha, please respond.
I love that. This is
And
why
so-
Warstorm Surge still fucks in 2024.
Yeah, it does still fuck in 2024. So Homegirl on Alesha has to gain some life with the food tokens that they made because they have a Campbell profiteering mayor who's just gobbling up all of the food tokens that the Dina gamer is making.
Fucking hate that card. I have sat across a Campbell deck several times, and I'm just like, stop giving me shit so you can get more shit. Like, this is a scam. I would rather lose life. I would rather be losing life in that case.
They gain just enough life off of their ill-gotten food tokens to put them out of range of the burn damage from the Warstorm Surge. So they narrowly dodge that. They're at 1, and the Dina gamer is just like, sacrifice a creature, gain a life.
Yeah.
And it just fucking kills them.
And this is why you kill the Dina player.
Oh, man. Magic the Gathering. You think you have it, and then a bunch of shit happens and rapidly changes the situation.
It's so over. We're so fucking back. It's so over.
Literally that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is again making me think back to the blind obedience bit I was talking about earlier of just like, sometimes if you sit and you wait and you do your uwu small bean bullshit, you can slide under the radar, be like, oh wait, Dina has a sack out. It's like a sack outlet. It does things. It's pretty good. So yeah, that's, as I always say, that's magic, baby.
That's magic, baby, for sure.
Fuck, that's funny.
All right, who's up next?
You got it. You got anything else to add, Fitz?
I'm like I said, I guess we played Magic a couple weeks ago, Cole.
Yeah, we did.
I played the fairest Joe to the Unifier deck in existence, and it didn't really do anything.
If we're talking about 5 color legends that I despise, and I'm so shocked that Brandon doesn't play this fucking card. But Fitz, when you were telling us, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be the Fallout Commander. I'm like, it's peak. I can get behind this. This is the one time I can believe and trust someone can make like a fair Joda deck. And like, yeah, you know what? Hey, it does some stuff. It does cool Fallout card stuff. I really can't complain.
Yeah, I just took all 4 precons. I fucking love Fallout, and I just smushed them all together, more or less.
More or less.
I don't really have any energy cards because they're kind of only work with themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
And I wanted to play the radiation mechanic because it's
so
kind of like the thing they marketed as the mechanical direction of the set.
Mm-hmm.
So my deck isn't exclusively legends. Like I'm playing like the Mirelurk Queen and shit like that generates rads that aren't legendary. So there's definitely like some Jodaness to it. He does buff all my legends if I get a couple out there.
Get Agent.
He's a big.
Agent Frank Horgan out with like strong, and then you start proliferating all the radiation counters, and you're gaining life and not losing life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely like synergies and things that are powerful, but it's not like Joda where he just fucking rams it down your throat normally.
That it's a card like, if I think at one point in the future, I'm gonna have a 5-color creature soapbox bit at the end of an episode, and it's definitely not this one because Quinn's got that shit on lock. But yeah, like, when you think about like what is a centerpiece of your themed deck, and Fitz, you've done this twice. Like, you've done Fallout with Joda, and until something else happens for your Final Fantasy themed deck, it's Sisay.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if they make a 5-color legend, like, she better be, or he or she better be fucking sweet. Who knows what that's gonna be? But, you know, in those cases, I can trust when someone says, yes, I have this powerful thing in the command zone, but it's centered around a very ambiguous thing that is not mechanically like part of the deck, and it just makes sense for you in this case. And like, I don't know, Joda and Fallout, great. I hope you can get that vault suit version mocked up for you.
Oh yeah,
for you
I'll
soon,
commission
you know?
someone to do it soon.
Nice.
On top of all of your slowly growing army of merit leeches.
Well, the last one was fucking. It wasn't cheap. Let's put it
No,
that way.
no. I've seen the artwork progression that you were giving us, like the whole the whips as it was going on.
Oh yeah, for the sketches Buddy sent me.
And and then like when I saw the completed thing, you're like, oh fuck, that's also gonna be a fucking sick ass playmat. I was like, yeah, that's not gonna be like a non-zero amount, but like, you know, that's just cool.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
dude.
It's good to be able to support artists and get something I love in return.
Oh, dude, I just ordered this sickest Toxic Deluge from Snow Queen of Hoth on Twitter. I'm so hyped to see that in the mail.
Is it gonna be like an Uzumaki? Wait, why am I thinking? No.
A
It's-
Junji Ito.
Yeah,
Junji Ito.
Junji Ito one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Very
does
hyped
great
for
art.
it.
That's fucking sick.
She's been on freaking fire every time you see one of her stuff come up. I'm like, that is just literally just straight up whatever the artist drew on a Magic card or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
she's gotten very good at just putting exactly that on a Magic the Gathering card. It's really impressive.
yeah, no, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, my ass only drawn stick figures.
And I'm
Yeah, I
losing
do a
the
tiny bit of painting on card, and
I'm
it is
losing the
not
trick.
easy.
I'm losing the tricks of the trade by just not doing anything. I have this old tablet. Like, I have several tablets, but I have an old tablet, a Wacom Intuos, and I need to try to find the pen again so I can draw on my computer as soon as I fucking figure out what the fuck is wrong with my computer. I thought I was in the clear. Apparently my computer said lol amount, so I might have to get it taken into the shop to get some work done, because oh fuck, I have no idea what I'm doing now.
That's rough. You've been fighting that fucking thing for a while.
It just, you know, you think you're in the clear, or you update all your drivers and shit, and then you wake up in the morning, and then your girlfriend's like, your computer has a gift, and you're like, it's 7 a.m., fuck you, get out of my way, I gotta try to figure this shit out. That was, aka today, on top of all the announcements that happened today, but I was just like, I was mad, and I was like, flicking through all the settings and doing all these tests, and I'm like, I'm too fucking tired, too angry, and not tech savvy enough to figure this shit out. So I mean, if I gotta put like a few $100s down to get this thing figured out, because this other old rig that I'm currently recording on is just not suited for gaming, I gotta tell you. So speaking of gaming, weird transition. So and speaking of my girlfriend, I got her playing Magic a tiny little bit.
Nice.
This is a very funny anecdote to talk about. So when we started seeing each other, we weren't like really officially dating. We were just seeing each other, and at the time, she had not killed the part in her that cringes. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go play like D&D or Pathfinder or whatever. And she's like,
Wow,
well,
she's
what?
just like, you fucking nerd.
Yeah. But then, of course, because when you're just fresh in this new relationship and you don't know each other's dynamics or anything, I'm like, yeah, well, my recent ex played, so like, what's your like? she's cooler than you. And it was the most like petty, pedantic bullshit. And she was mad and I was mad, and it was great. You know, we're like 6.5 years later, so we got that shit figured out. But every passing year, like, she sees my shelf, she's like, God, that's an ugly fucking piece of shit pile of cards, but you know what, you like that, so that's yours. And she listens to me talk about the podcast. She overhears me, or she hears every once in a while she hears Fitz laugh over the mic or whatever, and so she gets like some of the vernacular and she kind of in the vocabulary, and she's like, okay, here's the thing. I don't know if my ADHD ass brain can deal with it, because if she's not hooked on it, she's not gonna do it. And she might do it for a little bit and then abandon it forever. But at least if it's my cards, there's no more financial loss than what I'm already losing in playing this fucking game. So she's like, hey, if we're going to play, you're going to teach me and we're going to make it like a date night. I'm like, sure, fine. We went out for tacos. We went to Taco Tuesdays. We came back home, started playing. I'm like, we're going to play 9th edition 40 card intro decks, because any more than that,
classics.
like, you know, you play your 2-mana 2/2 in red that can't block, and you're going to fucking enjoy it, you know? Like, it's the goofiest shit. And
it's simpler cards. It's not like, you know, cards with flavor text versus like you look at some of the like newer cards from say Bloomborough, where like its Valiant fucking rules text is
just fucking
like
taking the entire box. Yeah,
we don't need to tell her about the initiative yet.
Definitely not.
We don't know. Holy fuck, no. So
yeah, we'll worry about that later.
So I built an Arabo deck, Roar of the World, because we like cats. And
cats are pretty effective at getting people into the game.
And she likes cats even more, and I always show her like the cute artwork here and there. I'm like, look, you can appreciate this cat artwork. And she's like, I do. I'm like, okay. Like Wasatora's dragon cats, like the kittens.
Yeah, those are pretty cute.
We're like, hey, that's pretty cute.
Yeah, those tokens are cute as fuck.
So I'm like, okay, Taco Tuesday, come home, get everything set up, sit down. I'm like, all right, so we got red, green, and we got white, blue. But luckily the white, blue doesn't have, like, Cyclonic Rift or some shit. So, like, it's the most pretty straightforward deck that you'd ever see. It's got, the green red deck has Craw Worms.
Chef's kiss.
It's got Volcanic Hammer. You pay 2 to deal 3 damage to, I'm assuming, is now any target. At sorcery speed, we don't do instant shit like we do in the modern day.
I need to teach you about the stack yet.
Oh, I was like, okay, so hold on a minute, I'm gonna respond. And she's like, what? And I'm like, hold on. And she's so the problem is that if you don't have any kind of prior tabletop or card game experience, like, it's not as intuitive as playing a video game if you played video games. The same way that
that's for sure.
The same way modern day video games are not beginner user friendly, because a lot of it is just like generational transitional evolution from a basic controller for like a Super Nintendo to like a PS4 or PS5 controller now, you know? Like, it's a lot different. So she's got good, decent gamer sense. The problem was she's like, I'm going to attack your creature. And I said, hold up.
Volcanic Hammer is any target now, BT dubs.
Oh, yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, figured as much. So I was like, okay, so we're going to try to go through this as basic as possible. Like, if I need to reveal my hand so I can show you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, we can do that. But the problem is you have to build the foundations first. But the problem immediately was she's like, why are we using lands? I'm like, okay.
It's actually the best part of the game, I promise.
In 1993, Richard Garfield made Magic the Gathering. That was one of the jokes that I have with her, where I tried doing that. She's like, don't give me that full story. Give me the TLDR. I'm like, fine. So she's like, why are we doing this? I'm like, you're a wizard drawing mana from the land that you've traveled or know or lived in or whatever, and you're using that to cast stuff. She's like, okay. And I'm like, And then let's talk about spells. And she's like, well, what's a spell, or what's a creature, and what's an instant, and what's a sorcery, and what's this mean? And I'm like, okay, so an instant can be responded on the stack. She's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, hold on. We're going too quickly. We need to slow this down a bit. And then
let's just do some creature combats.
Yeah, so you know, like,
keep it simple.
You play your 4 mana 3/3 octopus or an ogre or whatever, or maybe in the ogre's case or whatever the fuck it was, it's a 4 mana 4/3. Holy fuck, that value, that 9th ed vanilla creature value through the fucking roof. You know, I get Glory Seeker on my end in the white blue deck. You get your 2 mana 2/2 with a bunch of flavor text. Perfect.
Nice.
She's like, I'm going to play my 2 mana 2/2 red creature that can't block. Why can't it block? I'm like, reasons? Like, it just, let's not, like, I don't know. I play Windrake, your good old 3 mana 2/2 with flying. She's like, how the fuck do I beat that? I'm like, you have 2
How
copies.
do you beat that?
You have 2 copies of Volcanic Hammer in that deck. You fucking figure it out. But we slowly got through a couple games that night and figured it out. And then we tried it again. But like, I still can't get over when she was like, I'm going to attack your creature. I'm like, this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Calm down for a second here. And then she's like, I'm going to attack you with Volcanic Hammer. I'm like, you're not attacking me. You're casting a sorcery to deal me damage. She's like, it's not the same thing. I'm like, no.
In a way, yeah.
Like,
It
in a
feels
way,
like the same thing.
you are attacking me, but it's more direct and not with a creature and blah, blah, blah. So there's all this nuances where, like, I have all the knowledge and the terminology in my
Maybe
head.
too much knowledge.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And then she is trying to hit me with all these terms that I know in Magic, but in the context of the immediate game, I'm like, this makes more sense from your perspective anyway. So, you know, we'll maybe try to get back into it again in the future, but we are dedicated intro deck level right now. We might be trying to get her into MTG Arena, but like she said, don't get your hopes up. And I'm like, look, I look back at myself and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking intimidating, isn't it?
You can play Arena on your phone, and I think that's pretty approachable.
It's
the tutorial on that is genuinely one of the best ways to visualize Magic the Gathering. I think the way that they picture the stack is incredible, and it really helps cement those concepts in your brain.
Yeah, because it gives you a visual reference point too. It's like one thing when like your nerd partner is like, okay, I want you to imagine in your mind, and versus like Arena is just like, this is how it works.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's the thing when it comes to the tools that we have now. And like, you can have a practical experience and sit down with someone to sit you through like everything, but the obvious steps are to Arena's. You toggle a bunch of stuff off on Arena, and you start to understand why and how you do things, and then it also happens to have little visuals of like, this is main phase 1, this is the combat step, this is main phase 2, this is your cleanup, this is where you discard your stuff, this is how you hold up interaction, all this other stuff. So like, we got the tools. Arena's good with like the visual flair, I think, because like, could you imagine you tried playing NTG online and like you have no fucking idea what the fuck's going on?
I think
which is a bit of an exaggeration.
Better, then you can probably still just pick that up just fine. But I do think if you have access to Arena, then that's going to do it better because the graphics or whatever are more flashy and modern.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and
it's
gotta
smoother.
like it scripts the light bulb moments that like really get gamers into the game. I think like the green deck that it has you play in the color challenge with the I think gnarled rhino that like you draw a card whenever you target it with the spell, and it also like sets you up so you've got a season of growth, and they're like trying to shoot your gnarled rhino with removal, and you like draw into a card that like makes its power and toughness big enough so that it dodges that, and it's got trample, so it's definitely going to get through for combat damage, and you trigger season of growth, and you trigger the rhino when you draw cards.
Oh, I love that. So
that
good.
moment right there is what like clicked like what is possible in the game for me, I think, and it really like does that effectively in all of the colors. So there's a lot of ways to like get gamers hooked.
And that is
Make
very
you feel like a
funny.
smart pilot, and then you're like, now I get it. Look at how I play my cards together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing of like, I wish or don't understand why the intro decks don't have like a giant growth in like the green red deck to like introduce.
They just had different technology back then.
No, but I get it. But like on the white blue side, there's kill target tap creature, but it's 4 mana sorcery thing. There's Holy Day to prevent combat damage. Like, but that is like the only instant, which like I think that's cool and all. Like that's fine. But like I feel like the deck, and obviously like this is something I'll probably just do myself or add to the deck or swap something out or whatever, is add the extra avenue that these color combinations can offer. But it also depends on how interested she is. But yeah, like Quinn, like you pointed out, it's so interesting to me that you've only really been playing for 5 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm. Since the Throne of Eldraine pre-release.
And Fitz, you've been playing since like, dang.
Antiquities.
Yeah, so like, what, late 90s?
Around there. I was like a fucking little kid too. Like,
yeah,
I was like 8. I was like 8 or 9.
So it's so intimidating to think about joining in as an adult with a late ADHD diagnosis and then just being like, look, I could play a new video game and figure the control scheme out and figure out the mechanics of the game, but this little more, the game automates a lot of that for you compared to what reliquary tower? Why does this land exist? Or like, what is the stack? And you're like, okay, we're not getting into banding, but like, let me talk to you about the stack, you know? And it's just, there's some visual elements.
A lot of information to take in too.
It
comes a sensory overload.
But like, she does like her games on her phone, so like, I might be like, just download Arena. We can get you set up on the computer to get all like your pack openings and put in some codes and get some stuff, and then like we'll get you set up. Like, it's super easy. But yeah, that's been fun to take my time and be like, damn, this is what it means to like be an entry-level person in Magic. And then you're like, damn, 9th edition fucking sucked. Holy shit, there's a rampant growth in the green-red deck, but like, holy fuck, this 4 mana 3/3 just fucking blows, man. They don't make them like
also,
they used
just
to.
like, while we're on the subject of content for new or Magic the Gathering gamers, shout out to @NileJoanRivers on Twitter, who has a series on her YouTube channel specifically to give info to new gamers about Magic the Gathering and how to play the game and different deck archetypes and stuff like that.
She's been
Might
busy.
be worth checking out.
She's been busy lately. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do I just talk about?
No, I think we go to Fitz.
Fitz, sorry, yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Rakdos deck where the commanders are Tevish Sat and Jessica Thrice Reborn, because I got the cool like secret layers that look like death metal album covers. And the theme of the deck is every card is trying to look like a death metal album cover. And we just went to Dustmourn, and
oh yes, dude, you're eating so.
I was eating very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added both the overlords, the mythic enchantment creatures.
Yep.
Overlord of the Boiler Bilges and the
Baelmurk.
Yeah.
Is the black one.
Yeah,
I added Valgavoth. He's a big, scary, fuck off looking.
Holy
that's
fuck!
definitely a
Yeah,
metal cover.
yeah.
And I added the rare red black land.
Yeah. The
Blaze
new.
Mire Verge. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one looks really good too.
I probably could have added the 13 life one. It looks pretty cool, but it's just another tap land.
Yeah.
was
Tell me
that
about the
exciting.
experience of curating a deck where everything looks like a metal album. I imagine you've looked at so many fucking cards.
How much I imagine Raymond Swanson.
Swanland. Yeah, I have a bunch of his cards in there. He does like technical death metal album covers. For
Oh,
a
okay,
living.
yeah, I figured.
Oh,
like,
that actually explains so much.
You're like, damn, this thing
That's why
this shit is
his art's all
spiky as
spiky and
fuck.
shit.
Yeah, like that art for the big Boros enchantment, Gleam of Battle, is
Yes,
fucking
yeah.
incredible. One of my favorite pieces, and it's got such metal album cover energy, and I'm just like, where is this coming from? Oh, it's because you literally do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains so much.
And the artist that did Overlord of the Boiler Bilges, Helgi C. Balzers, he also does a lot of death metal album covers.
That's awesome.
Sick.
That's like his other job. And I got a bunch of art from like him and Raymond Swanland. Thomas Baxa also does death metal album covers. So I've kind of also showing off more and more of their art just over time as they've been printing some
More and
pretty
more
fucking
cards.
badass metal art.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a real renaissance. Like a couple years ago, before Warhammer came out, that deck fucking sucked.
Yeah, you don't
I had like no
You
mana
know,
rocks. I had
yeah.
like no real like.
It was
I mean, the deck still doesn't really have any like synergy. It's like I just play
cool,
5 mana,
cool
6
looking
mana
stuff.
creatures,
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, eventually these will win the game on a long enough timeline.
it's
They will.
They will. And and like there's some reanimation stuff because a lot of like reanimating a thing looks fucking metal. It
oh
comes
yeah.
back and it's all undead. Badass.
Especially like the more alternate artworks of certain things that come out like over time. You're like, damn, that victimized fucking looks awesome.
Yeah, the new Victimize is
From
a
Modern
prime
Horizons 3. Yeah, like
Same with the Dread Return.
I was just gonna
was
say,
another
yeah.
one.
Was there a
Dead
living-
return? Probably.
I imagine there's a living death that you do have on that list. Yeah.
I just took it out of the deck the last time I updated it because
Damn.
I just don't like the it's just a confusing card to resolve and
Usually
it's
blows up
fucking-
in your face more than not if you're not prepared
Sometimes.
for it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fucking headache when I could like board wipes is another one that's I have a lot of options for in that deck because there's a lot of like blowing stuff up, looks badass. And a black cards, it's usually like a thing getting cut apart or like jam full of spikes. So I wasn't lacking for choice, and I last couple times it's just like been tedious to resolve, and I don't like cards like that.
Yeah.
Understandable, yeah. I think somebody cast a living death in a game I was in recently, and both me and Lenny had the Witch King of Angmar, who has the like discard a card to regenerate it, basically like tap it and give it indestructible. So in response to this living death, me and Lenny are both like, activate the fucking guide, discard these bangers.
Yeah.
Oh,
also shit like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Or you can get right blown out by a bad corner case too.
I don't know how many times where like I've object permanence in a commander game, especially even over spell table, can sometimes just go out the fucking window. But yeah, then you cast a living death, and then everyone's like, "Did you not fucking pay attention to that guy's graveyard?" And you're just like, "Fuck, this is way worse than I thought it was."
Like, well, I sorta was thinking about it right up until before I cast the spell, and then I stopped.
And then all functions and all thoughts just went out the window, and like, I'm sorry I didn't pack a Bajuka Bog or the frickin' new Thraben Charm is what I'm thinking of, where you can blow up any number of target of graveyard, like of your opponent's graveyards. So like you start needing to deal with some people that way, like that'd be a way to do it. But like, depends on the color combination and everything. Tormod's Crypt, whatever. But yeah, you recently added your own custom D&D artwork Karazakar to the list, if I remember.
Well, yeah, they had the what was it? The Beholder Secret Lair.
The Beholder Secret, yeah.
And the Karazakar art, like it looks metal as fuck, I think, but it's all like rainbow colored and shit. Didn't really
It's
have
pretty
the vibe
technicolor for sure.
of my deck, and so I was like, well, what if I just turned off the color setting on my printer?
Fucking
And then when I had the
mint.
preview up, it looked really dark. I was like, oh, this isn't gonna be fucking readable. It's just gonna come out and look like really black, and it didn't. I was surprised. It actually looked really cool.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that online. I was like, there's no way he's gonna make this look less party time just by turning the color off. I say, taking a big mouthful of cereal.
Pikachu face. Like, what the
Yeah.
what?
And then I see the photo, and it looks fucking incredible.
It looks
and
pretty
just
fucking sick,
cereal everywhere.
Yeah, I only pressed like one button on my printer. I was like, this can't be this easy of a solution, is it?
Well, as it turns out.
Well, yeah, I was wrong.
Well, probably
Boom.
because, like, because like you said, like the colors are like pretty saturated, like they're pretty blown out if depending on how you look at it. So like the fact that your printer was just able to be like, cool, no color, there you go, we'll just put tones of I imagine there's like slight gray tones maybe, but it's probably just pure white otherwise, I imagine, which is great.
Yeah, I assume. I don't know, I'm not a fucking artist. I just pressed one button, man. I was
sorry,
like,
I was just
fingers crossed, let's go.
I'm thinking too much about that. Technically, it's just it looks cool now.
Yeah, no. But yeah, hey, great turnout. Fuck, it looks sick, and a great addition to the list. And hey, you know what?
Absolutely. I've been playing a bit of Karazakar in the command zone on MTGO, and it's a really good time to just like tap and go your opponent's creatures, even if that's not like the focus of the deck. Like I'm literally just playing a Rakdos aggro deck with Karazakar in the command zone for interaction and card draw, and it works. It does the fucking thing.
I'm really always surprised when you freaking tap stuff down with it. I'm like, oh fuck, that's really good. Like, that's...
I'm just like, you thought you were gonna block with that creature. I'd like to tap and goad it, please.
How about new? You know what I also just remembered, because we're talking about MTGO, and I forgot to mention it earlier. They finally got Fallout.
I fucking got your ass.
Fuck you. I'm still not playing it. I'm still not, but
He's
fuck.
I'll maybe get on.
Oh god,
I can 1-to-1 recreate my Aldrich Blood Curse deck, but they don't have Fallout cards on there. And the day that they announce they're putting Fallout on there, I'm in your DMs with the tweet. Time to get your ass on MTGO, Fallout boy.
I was scrolling through my Twitter feed and I saw Ashley, Joe Snart, see it, and Eliana was asleep, and she's been wanting pre-war formalware on MTGO, so she could probably play, like, I imagine it's like Death and Taxes or something.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I was like, well, that's crazy, is that? And then immediately I get your message in the screenshot. You're like, get on MTGO, Fallout Boy. I'm like, I'm still not fucking doing that shit. No fucking way.
Yeah, he's still not doing that shit.
I just...
Doesn't seem that hard to learn.
No, I just think about the fact that I just got to cast a pre-war formalware with my hands the other day, and I got to flicker it with a teleportation circle, and it was pretty
You were cooking.
Yeah, no.
It was really frustrating to try and interact with your board, because you're just like, we'll go to end step, like this pre-war formalware, we'll grab this guy, he'll reanimate another thing.
God, I do love... Say what you will about Universes Beyond, but like, my god, some of the technology that's come out of those sets have been pretty fucking sweet, and pre-war formalware is kind of like up there.
Good cards.
They do. But yeah, heavy metal. I need to do something with my Karazakar. I bought that fucking secret layer for a reason, and I'm thinking it's probably
just play a shitty little Rakdos aggro deck, dude. Just put some goblins in the and go.
I recently just like took, as part of like the decks I took off the shelf to take apart, I also had a bunch that I realized that like I had cards slotted into the box to like update or swap or whatever. And then I was like, oh yeah, sick. And then I looked and I'm like, I still have this Dargo and Francisco pirate deck. And Andy from the Legendary Creature podcast came back from sabbatical. It's like, hey guys, what's up? Who wants to help me build this Francisco whatever pirate deck? We're like, yeah, sick. All right, cool. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got one of those too. And then I remembered that I was able to cast like a bunch of shit on like turn 4, including Embercleave. And I had Dargo out too, and I was like, actually, I should probably keep this deck around and keep doing this shit again. So I was like, all right, cool, let's look at some of the new cards that I bought recently and all this other stuff, and I put that in, and then I'm like, oh, but I still have my Sauron the Lidless Eye deck, and I don't know how many more Rakdos like pieces or components that I still have, but like maybe Karazakar can make the difference. But I'm trying technically to go down more decks than end up being
brewing new ones.
Net neutral. Like, I don't want to net neutral and then go back up, because like that was the issue. Like, I went from 50 to 40. I don't need to go back up. I need to keep going down. So as I say, I'm like, I'm gonna make another mono red deck. So yeah. It's a struggle to be a brewer right now and then get hooked on something and then make a new deck and get hooked on that and be like, damn, this is fucking sweet.
I love that they're constantly printing new game pieces for my favorite game. I say it every week.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I
also don't spend that much money on Magic the Gathering, so it's not a
no. You spend
irresponsible financial choice.
You spend more on Merit Lage, period.
Oh, exponentially more.
Oh man, look at this super cool, sick token made by such and such, and here's this other one made by such and such, and then you're like, what's the last card you bought? You're like, fuck if I know, man. I have no fucking clue.
I bought a Masterpiece Sword of Fire and Ice to help someone out a while ago.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
That's pretty neat for your Belong the Wandering Knights sword stack.
Yeah, she was like, I need some help. I want to sell this piece of cardboard. And I was like, that's a pretty piece of cardboard. And it was like not $300 American. So I was like, I could make that happen.
It was probably like $600 Canadian or something. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It was only like 150 American. So I was
that's pretty good.
It was way less than I thought. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah,
I really like the showcase printings that they've put out of, like, every time they print a sword, the art for it's sick as hell. They did the Feast of Famine in the Assassin's Creed set.
Yeah, that one's
and then they just recently reprinted Sword of Fire and Ice in Bloomborough, and it's the, like, otters, like, sort of fish and fire. It's very cute.
Yeah, it is.
I'm getting a sort of I'm getting the alt art sort of Hearth and Home in the mail at some point, because I was like, hey, we're still doing like bling upgrades to Audric.
Yeah, dude.
And I
have everything. Why not?
I really am not a fan of the old artifact frame that they did, and like I was like, if I'm gonna get a Sword of Hearth and Home, I don't really care the first time, but as times moved on with the Bloodrick deck's existence, I'm like, yeah, I think it's either like get the Lord of the Rings one or get that one, and that one looks
the
like
widescreen one from the set that it came out in.
And I'm like, yeah, that was really
borderless rather.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So that'll be coming at some point on top of. Am I getting something else blinged out for that? I did get that foil Razorkin Needlehead, and then my LGS was like, oh hey, we got the alternate full art foil one in stock. I'm like, fuck, I just got this one. Shit.
But you could have two.
Oh, I do.
He got it.
No. So I bought the original non-foil, or like just the plain one, at $8 at pre-release, I think, at my store, which is like, $8 Canadian. It could go up or down.
That's a little bit much for like one card, but like
whatever. And then you blink and look back the next week, you're like, $20. Holy fuck! I'm rolling in the dough. And then you buy the one at $4. You buy the foil one at $20. And you're like, oh, that's sweet. And then you look back, they're like foil alt art $22. You're like, fuck, it's gonna run out.
Nekusar.
Yeah, where's the line in the sand, right? So anyway, But yeah, no, that deck is freaking blinged out, and it's also been up to no good lately with some of the shit that I've been up to in games lately.
Yeah, you've been taking some game actions, creating some game objects.
Audric stuff has been pretty great lately. As mentioned, Razorkin Needlehead doing some fucking work. As taking game actions, casting Molten Psyche with it out has been a dream, but has not happened yet. But my god, I want it to be. I got to cast the Wandering Rescuer, but have not really done anything super crazy with her. But it was kind of neat just to be able to convoke her out.
Convoke and Flash is pretty cool on a creature with double strike, and you didn't get to like get anyone with that, but you don't need to get people with that every time.
I mean, it killed something, so like that was great. But if I of the anthems that I do have in the deck, it probably would have been pretty good. Was there another card in particular? I put in Dazzling Theater in the prop room. So it's the creature spells you have Convoke. I always so shocked by Convoke. I'm like, damn, this is actually pretty good. And the untap on everyone else's turn is pretty great, but haven't really gotten to deploy that yet. And I'm looking forward to see how Barb Flare Gremlin works out in the deck.
Mana Flare plus Mana Barb's Gremlin. Big fan.
I want you to play that versus me. I love it when other people give me double mana.
But what if I turn it off?
I can be trusted with twice the resources.
Yeah, so that's a fucking lie.
Can you be trusted with them in the presence of that? Plus,
I will be.
Exactly.
I will. I'm hoping to put a prop room out while playing the Barb Flare, so I can use it and then immediately turn it off. But it's also it's cool that it has 2 keywords. I'm gonna be interested to see how it turns out. But at this moment, it's just more like a test more than anything.
I think turning it off for your opponents is coward shit.
Well, that's just like your opinion.
Literally, yes. I did preface that with I think.
Some of the other recent changes that I've done in the last little bit have turned out pretty good. Parting Gust did some stuff before I reread it and realized that it does specifically say non-token creature as part of the targeting conditions.
Yeah, they don't want you being a dick and exiling people's big tokens.
Well, okay, fine. I'll do it a different way then.
Use your Ghostly Flicker or whatever.
Bone Horde.
That's not the spell, but you know the.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bone Horde Drakazar and Celestine the Living Saint have been pulling their weight recently.
Yeah, I think you got 1 combat and.
I'm not bringing up that. I'm not bringing up that one. I'm not bringing up that one.
Instantly.
I did it 3 times in a different game, and people were like, "What the fuck, man?"
The card is really strong.
It
is.
So yeah, Bloodrick stuff's good through Duskmorn. I'm gonna be interested to see how like the new cards do turn out, but time will tell on that. I do have. Oh, that was the other one. I got a alt art Dazzling Theater, so I'm getting that coming in to immediately swap it out. Can I talk about Anti-Flash, or are we jumping to something else?
The only thing left is my topic.
The only thing left. Okay. You know, like the thing that's going to take like another hour to get through. All right, let me do this pretty quick. Anti-Flash has been my addiction recently. The Red Death was my prior one, but like Anti-Flash, I don't know what's going on, but she's got her hooks in me, and I do like what I'm doing with the deck. I've won with it like once on a technicality, but like some of the other stuff that I've been doing with the deck with the curses has been pretty neat. So it was originally based off the Boros Curses list by Bonsai Entertainment around Kellen the Fate-Blooded. So you use the Adventure Siphon to go find your aura, which is a curse, and then go put it on whoever. But the problem, obviously, was that it's just too much mana to pay 2 to go find it, and depending on what it is, you're paying 1 through 3 for like your more efficient ones, but then you get to like Curse of Exhaustion and Overwhelming Splendor at 8. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to tutor it for that and then also play it. So, like, it was pretty interesting. But I was like, no, we could do better. Anti-Flash. Why Anti-Flash? I don't fucking know at this point. Like, it's a 6-mana commander. So, like, that obviously has its issues. But you're playing green, so, like, can you pay for the commander tax? Like, I don't know. That's what Kogla and the Teamer Sabretooth and that shit is used to, like, put it back in your hand in an emergency situation, so you bypass the commander cost. So it's an Enchantress Shell with not all the best heavy hitters, and not like I don't have a Sithis on hand. I don't have the new Calyx, because that would fucking tilt everyone in the sun the moment I start copying fucking Overwhelming Splendor.
You start copying curses, and we gotta cut your head off.
It's just public execution style, just fucking bougie ass shit. So, went from the Boros list to this one. It's been pretty good so far. Getting different kinds of card advantage via red and white and green has been pretty great, especially when you get some of the new spicy tech of like, cool, I'm gonna pitch this thing to draw a card and then reanimate it with Anti-Flash later, which is great. I originally thought it was gonna be Mazzy from Dungeons and Dragons, because if your aura goes into or is destroyed, it goes into exile, so you can recast it. I was like, we'll wait on that.
She makes sense as the commander.
Yeah. So I don't know why I'm still on this anti-flash thing, but like,
because every time anti-flash enters the battlefield, if you cast her, she does the Sun Titan thing on an annoying curse, so you can never really get rid of your maddening hex.
Gives you card advantage as well every turn.
Yeah, and I'm
a lot of upside.
I'm turning her sideways. I thought about putting like getaway car in to like activate her, to crew it, exile the top 2 cards of the library, attack with a car, and then like return her to my hand. But
that's
like,
a play pattern that you can do, yeah.
There's that first responder guy from New Capenna who, like, at your end step, you bounce a creature back to your hand and you put counters on him.
That card is bananas.
But like my cuts, like, so far have been pretty dedicated to like the Enchantress side of things. So like maybe I'll eventually find a way to like slot those things in to do that. But like again, this would like Teamer Sabretooth and Kogla and like leave enchants like are supposed to be for. But yeah, bringing back Maddening Hex is pretty fucking sweet. And then you start stacking all the red curses on someone with Maddening Hex. Just be like, cast a spell. What could possibly go wrong? You take like double damage when you max out on a 6, and you take 12, and then you take 2 for whatever reason off like Curse of Shaken Faith and all this other stuff. So like it's a pretty fun little package, and then every once in a while you can like move it around with like Arden or something. So anyway, you get your early ramp pieces with through lands, like through Myriad Landscape, Crescent Verge, and Wooded Foothills. I only have a fetch, like I only have a Wooded Foothills as the only fetch land, and the first time I used it, I forgot you lost life on it. And I'm like, so later in the game, I'm like, I'm just gonna tack that down one and bring it back and all this other stuff. Also having Sun Titan in the deck's pretty fun. So hey,
yeah, I bet you have one in the command zone. It makes sense you would want one in the 99 as well.
So outside of like the burn sub theme with like Manning Hex, Cinder Vines, Curse of Shaken Faith, and then Curse of Bloodletting doubling the damage. New card, Artist Talent, the class from Bloomborough is pretty sweet. Level 1 is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you discard a card to draw a card. The level 2 for 3 mana is non-creature spells are reduced by 1. And then the last one for another 3 mana is if a source of non-combat damage is dealt to an opponent, it's dealt that much plus 2. So I was like, that seems pretty good. And you throw that in with like enchantresses and all this other stuff, and you're drawing a bunch of cards and getting some stuff in for later. I'm way too obsessed with it. Some of the play patterns recently has been like, it's kind of hard to like know how to coordinate everything and bring it together, and maybe Mazzy would be the deciding factor on how to like get it all a little more contained. But I've liked the play pattern so far. A lot of people are pretty excited to see the deck or see how it like works out. And like even one of my buddies who I played with recently, and he's a big Haktos player. He loves playing like the backgrounds with him and all this other stuff. And he's like, hey, what are you playing? I'm like, I'm playing fucking anti-flash curses. And he just turns and looks at me and is like, all right, I dig it. And then later he's like, can you fucking stop? And then you were there for the one game, Quinn, where I overwhelming splendored someone, and they're just like, cool. So like I'm just like completely out of this fucking game. And it was like, oh yeah, this is fucking brutal fucking curse.
Yeah, that is what the card says basically.
Yeah. It's a hard one to come back from.
It's pretty fucking awesome though. But then
hard not to feel like it's personal when you get stuck with it too. It's like, oh.
While I think there was at one point, I think I had Arden out in a previous game, and I probably should have moved it, but didn't, due to like thinking that something was going to happen with that player. But there was a growing enemy, and I should have learned my fucking lesson. So yeah, it's kind of nice to like engage with a weird archetype, a weird enchantment subtype, and put it together in a color combination that has no fucking rights to be playing it in that order. and see what I can cook up with. And I don't know, hopefully they make some more in the future. But the current suite I got in that deck has like been pretty fun. So yeah, Naya Curses coming to a table near you.
Well, shit.
What time is it, Quinn?
I guess we're about at the end of the document then.
So Fitz, we've been
Hello.
doing soapbox bits recently, where we just let people get on a soapbox, and outside of some recent news, which I feel like probably would have been that, and we just kind of nixed that and said, nope, let's not do that. I think you and I are just gonna sit back and let Quinn go on about whatever phase bullshit that's been going on lately.
I have dabbled a little bit in this upcoming subject. After they printed my vanity card, got me interested in the dark arts.
Yes, I was thinking about that. And I figured the mechanic that this engages in would be of your particular interest because of the way that it links taking a certain game action and getting the result that you like a lot.
I wonder, what could it possibly be? What are we talking about? What's happening?
Yeah, so I've been on a big thing about becoming a Lich lately.
So how's that going?
It's only ever an achievement unlocked kind of gameplay plan, and it's okay, so backstory here. I got interested in playing the Lich archetype of deck when I saw on the several years ago, Jim from Spike Feeders and such played his Ether Lich deck on stream, on Olivia's Twitch stream, that Infinity Artifacts. And the way that he took game actions and was like at 0 life, but like bobbed and weaved and maneuvered with the pieces on board, and like ways that you can replace card draw with life gain and turn life gain into card draw, and spun all of that into a win somehow, was truly incredible. And I was just like, wow, maybe dying in Commander isn't the worst thing that can happen to you.
Makes you think. It makes you think.
And so Commander Legends 1 came out with Kolfanor the Last U, and I was like, that's a pretty cool recursion card in the colors of Soul Sisters and Landfall and Black Mana. So I think I will put together this Lich deck. And so yeah, I put that together. It's a like grindy, recursive Abzan lands Lich deck. And we still have that together, but haven't played it in a long time. Recently, they printed Marina Vendrill's Grimoire in the Dusklorn set, and I put that in my Grixis Rooms deck. But it inspired me to get back on my evil wizard shit. And so I've been reveling in my undead might these past couple of weeks. And as for how it's been going, gamers, let me tell you, the Lich game plan is kind of not for the faint of heart. If you're an incredibly risk-averse gamer, you're going to have a hard time with the risks of undeath, because the consequences for fucking up are just fucking losing the game. And you just have to accept that.
Like, this is not your one-hit wonder build in some video game, you know, like, you die once, and, like, you're the glass cannon. Like, this is the glass cannon bullshit in Magic.
Yeah, the power granted to you is incredible, but the cost is great, and you just have to understand that. And if you can handle just fucking losing the game as a consequence of getting your plan interrupted, you can get this power beyond measure. You're in. And so, gamers, I want to share with you some pillars of lichdom, or how I learned to stop worrying and love my unnaturally extended life.
Is that the episode title?
Maybe. Shout out to Dr. Strangelove. A very funny film. So you gotta be gaining life. The whole thing about being Lich is it takes the health bar and moves it away from your normal life total and shifts it to your hand, your deck, your graveyard, in the form of like Lich's Mastery, the Marina Ventral's Grimoire, like Nefarious Lich. Permanence on board can also be your life total in the form of OG Lich, and even a specific creature and its like toughness can be your life total in the case of Pact Weapon. So all of this is just like the trade-off usually is linking life gain to card draw, which reinforces the concept of cards in hand equals your life total. And so to have success with being a Lich, you want to set up life gain engines in addition to big swells of life gain. It's a good idea. Land stacks in particular, pretty well positioned to do this. They've got several landfall gain a life cards, you've got Zurin Orb, and you've got your suite of Crucibles and Splendid Reclamations that you can use to make the sacrifice of all of those lands less of a cost. Token decks or go wide aggro decks can play the suite of Soul Sisters like Daxos and Soul Sisters and Soul Warden, there we go, Essence Warden, you know the guys. If you search function : Soul Sister on Scryfall, it'll probably work. I really feel like things are probably tagged like that.
I would hope so at this point.
Yeah,
It does sound like something you type in there and you're like, this won't work, and then it works. And like, oh, you crazy bastards.
The stuff that they do on
actually
Moxfield,
can do that.
the stuff they do, it's wild what they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Or Moxfield,
so
sorry,
yeah.
Scryfall.
The Moxfield engine or search bar
It's
uses
tied
the
together. It's tied
Scryfall
together,
engine.
but yeah.
Yeah, they hold hands. So yeah, the tokens, go wide decks, those are pretty well positioned to take advantage of the life gain effects that Lich grant you, rather the results of life gain that's granted to you by a Lich effect. You can also try giving your whole board a static effect of lifelink with something like Whip of Erebos or one of those big white enchantments. And this one's particularly good because the lifelink encourages getting in there with combat, and that's right, gamers. I'm always talking about advancing the game state meaningfully via the reduction of life totals.
Something I can get behind.
There's also undo buttons like Children of Corliss. That one, I think you like sacrifice it and it sets your life total back to whatever it was before you lost a bunch of life this turn.
Yep.
So that's like one big swell of life gain that you can get. And then the Aetherflux Reservoir, you cast a spell, gain a life, gain 2 life, gain 3 life. All of that will turn into draw, and give you that artificially extended life total of a very large number of cards in hand. So those are things that you want to be doing while you are pursuing your undead might. The next thing that you got to have a plan for is you need to have a plan to answer the demands of undeath, by which I mean you got to have sacrifice fodder. Every Lich card is different, so you're going to want to tailor the production of that sacrifice fodder to answer the specific demands. The OG Lich very specifically wants cards from your board to be sacrificed, so token spam does nothing for you there. So you have to think about what you're going to do here for answering that. Marina Vendral's Grimoire, whenever you, I think, lose life or take damage that causes loss of life, obviously, you have to discard cards equal to that. So if you're building around that Lich effect, you want to make sure you have a fuck ton of cards in hand. Maybe you're a Ristic Study gamer in that case. If you're playing Nefarious Lich, it very specifically asks you to exile things from your graveyard. So in that case, maybe you want to be doing a bunch of self-mill effects so that you can answer that demand. Like whatever your Lich effect is, you want to be sure that you can answer it. Because again, the consequences for fucking up here are just losing the game. Again, lands decks are pretty uniquely well set up for this because they have high quantities of expendable non-token permanents in the form of lands, and they've got a bunch of landfall make a guy cards. So if you are playing one that will let you feed a token into it, which like Lich's Mastery will let you do, you've got plenty of those, and the lands are easy to get back from your graveyard if you're sacrificing them to OG Lich because you're in green, you can Splendid Wreck or Crucible. Go wide decks, like we talked about, real good here with the quantities of expendable token, non-token or token bodies that they can generate.
This is just suddenly reminding me and I hate to invoke Fextra Life because that fucking website actually sucks when it comes to like RPG builds, but I'm thinking this is your Baldur's Gate 3 lichdom build walkthrough, and you're going through the components of like, all right, in Act 1 you got to do this, you got to get these things, and then in Act 2 you get these, and then in Act 3, lichdom online. This is what you do to maintain the lichdom stuff. Anyway, so continue.
Literally, yeah, that is what it is. You have to set up these engines so that you can take advantage of your Lich effects. You set up these things so that you don't instantly fucking die when you become a Lich. And then once you've done that, we actually leads very well into point number 3 here, which is you need to be very careful with your timing. Because Lich effects functionally change your life total to whatever resource they're looking at. It's critical that you don't play the Lich effect until your real life total is at or below your alternate life total. Otherwise, you're like, what are we doing here? To put that more flowerily, you should wait until the very end of your natural life to attempt to complete the ritual of becoming. Playing them any earlier exposes your Lich cards to removal and maybe puts you in the position of not being able to answer their demands. A Lich is calculating in the application of their power.
Now I'm starting to get ideas. Oh no.
Yeah, for sure. When I first put Lich's Mastery in Quaza, I was like, haha, this is funny, I draw my whole deck. And then the first couple times I did it, someone just bounced all permanents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no.
Whoop.
What
No,
are you doing?
No,
Not
I just
like that.
lose the game.
Yeah, you just lose the game, and it's like, oh well, fuck. I guess I just lose the game then.
I'm suddenly thinking of a Mardu Lich's Mastery deck.
I have actually played against a Mardu Lich deck that played the red extra turn spells and used the Lich's Mastery to brick those effects and the water tower
That's
to
funny.
storm off
That-
and kill us.
That's hot.
It was so sick.
What was the commander?
I think it was Extus. I think that makes it pretty easy to buy back sack fodder that you feed to other Lich effects.
Okay. Fuck. I'm so.
And he's got the Spellslinger Storm game
I
plan.
don't need another deck idea. Continue.
It ultimately at the end did kind of end up feeling like Mardu turns though, so if you're not prepared to have an extra turns deck, even though you are doing it through this cool Lich effect, then maybe don't approach it from that specific angle. But you can definitely do some of the techniques that I'm describing at the end here without maybe bending space and time to your will for frivolities. So now that we're out of that section, we can, so you're a Lich. Now what? You revel in your undead might first. It's an extremely achievement unlocked moment. A lot of the point of playing a Lich deck is to become a Lich. And once you've done that, it's like, sick, I did it. So we've got a couple of things for you to do once you've got that power, and the first of these is Halo Reach Font Survive.
Oh fuck, like the after having your heart and soul torn out of your body and you're only a shell of a person, and they're just like, oh no, this is how the game ends. Fuck. All right.
The second you become a Lich, the table's goal shifts from win the game to kill the Lich. And they're right.
They should totally
it's kind
do
of the
that.
same thing. The power that life gain equals card draw is incredibly like it's so great that they need to be doing that, otherwise they do just lose the game to the incredible amount of advantage that you're providing. And part of why we wait so long to complete the ritual of becoming is because in the late game, people have ideally exhausted the removal on other threats and they have less available to spend on you. Note, less does not mean none, so we still gotta try and be prepared. And that's why we've set up this board state and these cards in hand to answer the demands of our Lich effects, because we're going to draw aggro, they're going to send creatures our way, and when we take that damage, we have to either sacrifice those permanents or discard those cards or exile cards from our graveyard. Whatever your Lich effect demands, you have to answer it. And frequently, when those leave the battlefield, you just fucking lose the game. So we're trying not to let that happen. In Fitz's case, you got the fucking bounce spell used on you in the middle of trying to pop off with your Quasar deck. And one of the ways to prepare for that is to be holding the talking stick, the fucking Conqueror's Flail, so that they just they can't cast spells on your turn. It's one way to protect yourself. You can also play the good Lich effects. I really like Lich's Mastery because it has built-in hexproof. They have to try really hard to remove that, and
indirect methods. Yeah,
exactly. I got with an All Is Dust one time. I just had to sacrifice my Lich's Mastery. Not a damn thing I could do about that.
Fuck yeah, no kidding.
No.
Jeez.
Other Lich effects aren't as nice as Lich's Mastery, though, so be sure to pack your target permanent. Gets hexproof and indestructible effects.
The further back you go, the more it is. Oh, shit. Yeah. I'm getting ideas. Fuck.
If you're in blue, you can just counter the spell entirely if you've got a tinfoil hat large enough. So just consider the ways that you want to interact with that, and tailor that to your game plan and the stuff that you have access to. Another thing that you can do is stack your Lich effects. If you already played the OG Lich and are fucking risking it for the biscuit, then you find your Lich's Mastery, you make sure you cast that, so you're protected from the text on Lich, and you can sacrifice that to another thing's effect, and when it triggers you lose the game for it leaving, you can't lose the game because you have Lich's Mastery, and you don't have you lose the game for having 0 life because Lich's Mastery just straight up says you can't lose the game. You can also play the suite of white cards like Angel's Grace, Dawn's Truce, Everybody Lives, Courageous Resolve, Stunning
Defarious
Reversal.
Protection.
I think that one's a little different. I don't think it says you can't lose the game, but you do get protection from your life total changing.
Yeah, your life total can't change, so you could still dodge.
But doesn't it say your
stuff.
permanents phase out?
Yeah.
Yeah, your permanents phase out. Okay, so in response to somebody trying to remove your Lich card or whatever,
exactly,
you can T-Pro on out of there. That's an option.
Little tricky, but you're just weave.
I'm big into Courageous Resolve and Stunning Reversal for this kind of thing, particularly because I think Stunning Reversal will, air quotes, gain you life, so you can draw cards from Stunning Reversal and then draw cards for having gained life, and that's pretty cool. Courageous Resolve also has the Fateful Hour text, which is you're going to be in a Fateful Hour position if you've waited long enough to play your Lich card, or if you're playing the OG Lich that sets your life total to 0 as it enters. It puts you in a good position to play those cards. There's also the Platinum guys, the Cloudsteel Kieran as well. I think spell-based versions of these effects are preferred because opponents can't see them until it's too late. If you have them on board, they will try and break them, and they're right to try, so you can't get salty when they try and interact with that. I really want to impress that upon you, gamer. You are playing an incredibly powerful glass cannon strategy, and if they brick your permanents, it's just an L that you have to hold with grace.
I mean, look,
especially when the permanents are you're playing additional layers of not losing the game on top of each other. Can't be blowing up my multiple can't lose the game effects. I'm telegraphing here. What are we doing? That's on you.
You're already committing to a certain subset of cards that what normal sane person would even look at. So you're already committing to the bit. So, you gotta run with it even if did I not just see a Lich deck recently, Quinn? I feel like I did, but I don't know if it was with you.
I've been playing them recently. I don't know who else played one, but
maybe I saw a video. I don't know. Someone played one of the old Liches recently. And
yeah, I played the OG Lich in my Necrobloom deck.
Okay, it
I
was
built that
you.
one
Okay,
specifically
yeah,
to
yeah.
The Lance Lich deck.
Yeah, okay. That seems
So yeah, that's ways to Halo Reach Font survive. Now that we've got that like on our radar and we know what we can do to make sure that we don't just fucking lose the game for completing the ritual of becoming, we can maybe move to try and win the game now. A couple ways that we can go about doing this, depending on the deck construction and the board states. Here's the combat route. I've mentioned how Lance decks and Go Wide decks are particularly well suited for lichdom. You can convert those same resources that you're feeding into the demands of your Lich effects into winning the game. If your board's wide enough, just fucking overrun.
Yep.
If you have Kamal from Commander Legends, turn all of your lands into creatures. Just fucking overrun. It works. Here's the bird route. Your life total is probably really low here because we were smart and we waited a very long time to play our Lich effects, and now our life total is either 0 or below 0. The OG Lich also sets it to 0 when it enters, like we talked about, and most of the other ones make it so you can go below 0. What if we just made that someone else's problem?
Yeah, yeah.
Enter life swap effects. I think Repay in Kind is probably the cleanest. I think that's that like 7 mana black sorcery that sets everybody's life total to the lowest life total at the table.
Profane Transfusion, I just remembered.
We'll get there.
Okay.
If you are a Lich with a 0 life total, you just fucking drop everybody to theirs, and they simply fucking die. They didn't complete the ritual of becoming. I should have thought about that. You came prepared.
Yeah, they're still on the mortal coil. It's
yeah,
their own
to
fault.
be done.
Oh no!
Along those same lines is the Profane Transfusion, like we were talking about there, Cole. You give somebody else your sub-0 life total, you take theirs, and you make a large with the power and toughness equal to the difference. The game also tracks that change in life totals as life loss and life gain. So if you are a wound reflection gamer and you make somebody lose a bunch of life, and then you trigger wound reflection in the end step and do the rest of the dark work. It also, when you steal their life total, probably registered, or not probably, but your life total is probably increasing greatly. The game registers that as life gain, which your Lich effect will see and will gain you a bunch of cards.
I don't need another deck. Continue.
Lastly, and the most sus, is Axis of Mortality. It's a big white enchantment that swaps life totals at the beginning of upkeep. That, I think, is a last resort type of thing because we've already drawn aggro for being a Lich. Putting that on the board and having to wait to your upkeep is giving I showed you my death laser, please respond. And in this situation, we've set ourselves up to be like pretty well defended, but let's not take risks if we don't have to, you know? So think about that one. You can play extra upkeeps cards like the Sphinx of the Second Sun or the Shadow of the Second Sun if you're a blue Lich Mage that will put the like timing on that a little differently. So you can get that upkeep at the like end of your turn after you've played the Axis of Mortality and try and kill people that way. It's an expensive enchantment-wise investment. Like the mana values on those are not small.
Oh, they're so exorbitant and not pip light either.
Huge.
But you're playing a Lich deck, so I think you've sort of built in these grindy, recursive game plans that maybe let you get to the late game where you can do that kind of thing. So just like exercise caution with that one. I think it's a little cleaner to just do it with the sorceries because that's like it's a one shot and you're dead kind of thing. The Axis is repeatable though. There's also I think one other enchantment like Reverse the Sands or something like that. I don't remember if that's but there's like you redistribute any number of life totals on upkeep. And that's a similar situation of like, I showed you my death laser, please respond. So just like exercise a lot of caution with it. Yeah, Reverse the Sands is a sorcery, actually. Okay, that's a 8 mana sorcery. Redistribute any number of players' life totals. So
Wasn't
yeah, you can
from
play
like,
that one.
Time Spiral or Future Sight or something?
Champions of Kamigawa, and then
Wait.
reprinted in 2016.
Way fucking
C16?
off.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I was not expecting that to have been from Kamigawa.
I
That was a
I
surprise to me.
have such an encyclopedic knowledge of Magic cards. Just trust me. Fuck.
So yeah, that one I guess I would put up there with maybe the Repay in Kind or Profane Transfusion. Consider those. And then yeah, Axis of Mortality. Try that. Those are ways you can win the game. Let's talk about the actual ways that you can become a Lich, like the actual cards themselves. There's Lich's Mastery, which IMO is the best Lich effect. It has hexproof. It is let's actually like read this card. All right, Lich's Mastery. 3 black, black, black for a legendary enchantment. It's got hexproof. You can't lose the game. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you've lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. And when Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. I think that one is the best because it gives you the most number of, or like the biggest number of places to exile things from to meet the demands of the Lich. Others will pick one of those and make you go with that one specifically. Lich's Mastery lets you pick from all of them, and it also just straight up says you can't lose the game. So I think that one is the best, and it doesn't turn off or like replace life gain like Lich and Nefarious Lich do. It just ties it to the card draw. So
And it
there's
protects
things that-
itself. It kind of does
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, it does everything basically. I think it's the strongest of those, and that's why it's costed as such. But again, you've set this up so that you can survive to the late game. I think you have the power to cast that. I think second best, I like Nefarious Lich. It's a little weird though because it does like prevent damage prevent damage and sort of change the way that it interacts with life gain. Nefarious Lich is an enchantment for black, 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 black. If damage would be dealt to you, exile that many cards from your graveyard instead. If you can't, you lose the game. So this is one of those ones where you'd really want to be filling your graveyard. If you would gain life, gain that many cards instead, and when it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. If you're the green-black kind of Lich, this is probably one of the best ones for you because it's just so easy to fill your graveyard in those colors. We next in line have the original Lich. Again, enchantment for black, 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 and as it enters, you lose life equal to your life total. So it sets your life total to 0. And you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. If you would gain life, draw that many cards instead. Whenever you're dealt damage, sacrifice that many non-token permanents. If you can't, you lose the game. When Lich is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you lose the game. So this one, it's setting your life total to 0 is useful for the life swap effects that we talked about earlier. It's weird in that it doesn't lose you the game instantly if it gets bounced, but it kind of does if you have
not
0
at
or less life, and it sets you to 0 life.
It's like,
So you
hey,
have
what's
to
your
really
life total?
think about how
0?
you're gonna,
Oh.
yeah, you do just die. But you can kind of work around that in ways that you can't other Liches, so that's interesting. Lastly, I have Marina Vendrell's Grimoire. Unique in that we gotta fucking read the card too.
Reading. Oh, this is my least favorite thing to do in a game of Magic the Gathering.
So this one's a legendary artifact. It's different from the rest of the Lich effects in that it's an artifact and not an enchantment. And this one is 5 and a black, and when it enters, if you cast it, you draw 5 cards. You have no maximum hand size and don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards, and whenever you lose life, discard that many cards. Then, if you have no cards in hand, you lose the game. So this one just straight up sets your life total to your hand size, basically. And uniquely, it doesn't lose you the game if you lose the Grimoire. Otherwise, it works a lot like Nefarious Lich in that it's best in specific kinds of decks. And like we were talking about, if you're the Rhystic Study in every blue deck kind of gamer and you're addicted to having a fuck huge hand size, then this one's for you.
Now, who
does that?
Plays Magic like that?
Who would do that? I don't.
Who would do such a thing?
I've never talked about
would?
this. I've never talked about this person on my podcast before. Never, not once.
Yeah, so I think maybe Marina Vendrell's Grimoire and that path to lichdom could be particularly appealing to you, Fitz, if you were still interested in that play pattern.
Oh, I went fucking wild when I saw this. I was
Yeah.
like, yo. And it gives you no max hand size. Like, that's going right in my fucking Quasar deck.
Yeah, I was
going
going to be like, if you're thinking about a Lich effect in Quasar, that would be the preferred one. It also draws me 5
Well, I
cards.
like Lich's
too.
Mastery because it's hard to blow up. So it's like,
Yeah,
there's
I
no...
think
The risk
truly
is
think Lich's
mitigated,
Mastery is the
kind of.
perfect Lich card.
Yeah. Still pretty good. Still pretty neat.
Yeah, I like honorable mention to Pact Weapon. I like to equip that blade a lot. It is technically a Lich effect, although not at all the same as these ones. Pact Weapon is a artifact equipment from Baldur's Gate. Shout out to that set. For 3 and a black, as long as it's attached to a creature, you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. And then whenever equipped creature attacks, you draw a card and reveal it. It gets +X until end of turn, and you lose X life. X is that card's mana value. And you can equip, discard a card. That one, again, doesn't like interact with life gain or other stuff the way that the other Lich effects do, but it does absolutely save your life if you have 0 or less life, and if you have that equipped to an indestructible creature, it is very annoying for your opponents to try and remove you from this mortal coil. Another thing that you can do is make the Pact Weapon itself indestructible too, and equip that to an indestructible creature, and you feel incredibly safe and protected behind that. You can set your life total to 0 and do all sorts of whatever you're going to do with that.
I need to play with that
life swap
card more,
effects.
to be honest. The thing's sweet.
Mm-hmm. Some alternative Lich effects that turn off our ability to lose the game by drawing out. Not every traditional Lich can do this. Again, Lich's Mastery is so fucking perfect for saying just straight up you can't lose the game. But the rest of these, if you gain too much life, you can draw too many cards and just fucking die. So I like Underrealm Lich a lot for this. One of my favorites. The card selection is unreal. It puts all the trash into your graveyard so you can feed your Lich effects or whatever your graveyard dark work is. That guy is a zombie elf shaman for 3 green black. If you would draw a card, you instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard.
I keep
And you
forgetting
can-
about this guy for Honest Rutstein in Umori.
I think that would be incredibly cool in that deck. You can pay 4 life to give it indestructible and tap it, so it makes it really hard to remove. I was playing a game online, I think I told you all about this, where somebody pointed removal at it once and I tapped it and gave it indestructible, and they did not try again. They're just like, all right, I understand.
Message received. I mean,
Message received.
I'd like to see you press the button multiple times, but, you want it real
Not
bad.
gonna bother. Another one that will save you from dying by drawing out is Out of the Tombs. For 2 in the black
440K.
enchantment. Yeah, at the beginning of your upkeep, you put 2 Eon counters on it, then mill cards equal to the number of Eon counters on it. And if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you can't, you lose the game. So fills up your graveyard for other Lich effects and lets you reanimate a creature if you have an empty library. As long as you can feed it, it's excellent and a welcome addition to almost every Lich deck.
The pool, despite obviously how few of these cards that actually exist, the pool is still shockingly deep.
Yeah, you still have to build a deck like around these cards, but there's a lot to pick from to have an unnaturally long life, and I think there's a lot to experiment with. Closing thoughts. The path to lichdom is difficult and rewarding. Like we talked about, that power is unfucking believable. And just dead ass, frequently, you're not going to get there. You gotta just be okay with that. Because your goal of doing the thing and winning the game are frequently the same thing to your opponents. So they have to treat you like they can't win if you succeed. And they're right. Like we talked about, we set all of these things up to make ourselves imfucking possible to kill. So if they do manage to kill you before you get there, or they kill you once you've gotten there, you have to just hold your L with grace and congratulate them. Because they've slain a lich.
Yeah, like when I play the card, it's because it's cool and a fun gameplay experience to kind of like change the rules of Magic in a unique way. But when I fucking lose, which I usually do after I play Lich's Mastery, it's like, it's like that's part of it. You want the power, you got to accept the consequences.
I was playing a game with my Necrobloom deck the other day. I had Lich out and was all set up to win through a Havoc Festival because I'm like, my life is already at 0. I don't need to lose half my life to a Havoc Festival. Additionally, I can't die here now. And they're like, great, on your end step, I'm going to hit that with a Beast Within. And I'm just like, on second thought, it's been lit.
See you later.
Just fucking salute, and you just die there. You just gotta hold your L with grace.
Oh man, I'm suddenly remembering, and this is a while ago. Like you always do meet people who like these types of effects enough that they're willing to go through the effort of trying to live or die by that card. And Lich's Mastery is probably the one at the very top of the list where I'm like, someone at an LGS one time played it, and it was the coolest thing you saw because they managed to just do enough. Did they win or lose? I can't remember that much, but like they obviously did enough to commit, play the card, work around it as much as they reasonably could, and you're like, damn, that is pretty cool. You do not see that often enough. And that just also goes to show how cool it is to try to like deploy these types of strategies in Commander, because they're just so the path untrodden.
The moment that I really got like stars in my eyes was watching Jim replace his draw step with the gain 5 life trigger from fucking Words of the white mana Words of enchantment. It says you can. Okay, hang on.
Oh,
Words of Worship. There you go. You 2 and a white enchantment. You can pay 1, and the next time you would draw a card this turn, you gain 5 life instead. So
what is that card from? What is that set?
It is from fucking Onslaught.
Odyssey?
Holy fuck.
Onslaught. Very close though.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen this card somehow, but
you pay 1. You replace your draw with gain 5 life. And you can, if you have the mana and the desire to, your Lich effect replaces that with draw 5 cards. Oh
my god.
And you can pay 1 for each of those and gain 5 life, like 25 life at this point, and have your Lich effect replace that with 25 draw cards. And watching Jim put that like cascading effect of drawing cards and gaining life into effect and just put so many cards into his hand was just like, holy shit. Magic the Gathering is such a cool game.
So I am fighting off the urge to make a Mardu Lich's Mastery deck, somehow also using Form of the Dragon and Form of the Dinosaur.
Cole, please become a Draco Lich for me.
I
have no idea how much pleasure this would bring me.
Set your
life total to 0 with Lich, and then cast Form of the Dragon, and you gain 5 life and draw 5 cards, dude.
I just don't.
And it happens every end step.
I just don't know. How does that work with Form of the Dinosaur? Because it sets your life to 15. Much to think about. But geez, yeah.
If your life total is 0 and a thing tries to set your life total to 15, the Lich effect sees that as you gaining 15 life. So,
jeez,
draw 15 cards.
I keep thinking about those two. Like Form of the Dragon, I've always thought about. Form of the Dinosaur has always been on like the back burner. of like that variant, and like being that low to life total, regardless of how you get there or what makes you do it, is like, God, it puts me on edge. Like, that's crazy. But then you mentioned
That's the
Fateful
point,
Hour.
dude. You gotta ride
and
the
then
fucking lightning.
And then I'm thinking about Phyrexian Unlife as like a backup kind of thing,
Yeah,
just in
that's
case.
one way.
And yeah, no. So like, and then I'm like, what's the commander gonna be? And I have no fucking idea. But like, yeah, no. Do I need another Mardu deck? I just tweaked up Megatron, and that deck fucking did some bullshit, as Megatron is expected to do. Oh, hey, what a way to bring it around for Transformers 1. But you know, it's like, I have Ishin and I have Megatron, and I like, do I have more room in my heart for another Mardu deck?
This is a completely different experience
I
than
know.
any of those other decks are providing. So I don't think it would take up too much space in your roster to put together a Mardu Lich deck. I want that Moxfield list on my desk in 2 weeks.
Fine. Fuck. God damn it. All right, fine. I'll get it back to you. I need to think about it really hard.
You can also, like, you know,
gamers.
brew the deck, Cole. You're not, like, forced to,
Yeah, I know. Like, here's the thing, right? Like,
to put it on a shelf and not play it.
I just want the Moxfield list.
I have been doing a few Moxfield lists for stuff, for, like, some concepts. Like, I made that Flip Tameo 1-drop deck.
Mm-hmm.
And some other stuff. What was the one thing that I sent to you recently? I don't know. Not a great way to end the episode or continue the discussion, but just like, you know, I'll work on it. I'll throw it up on Moxfield and probably also stare at my collection and be like, can I make this deck or an approximation of it? And like, you know, hey, we'll get you back to you in another 2 weeks after that. But yeah, all right. I'll get back to you in 2 weeks on that one, at least, for sure.
Hell yeah. I would like for anybody who is inspired to maybe complete the ritual of becoming and walk the path of undeath with me to send me the list that you come up with. Leave the comments in the like deck list link in the comments below, I think is what you say on some platforms.
Yeah,
so,
it'll be in the
for
description.
me. I would
or the
really
episode.
like to see them.
Yeah, people, come on. Interact with us. We love it. You love it. Do it with us more.
Okay. That's my how to stop worrying and learn to love your unnaturally extended life seminar.
Oh my god. Welcome to the TED Talk, am I right? Jeez.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to all this, Fitz, before we wrap it up here?
I played Form of the Dragon a bunch in Commander. It's fun.
It's fun? Okay.
I played in my Sarkhan deck for years. It's cool.
Yeah,
it'll get you killed though. Same with Lich cards. Like, that card will make you lose the game.
Yeah.
It sets your life total to 5. You become very easy to kill.
Very squishy, for sure. Yeah, no. I am... It's always been like one of those checklists, you know? Like, it's one of the Commander...
Yeah, dude, it's an achievement unlocked moment, just like we talked about at the top. Becoming a Lich is an achievement unlocked.
You know what? No, that's the deck where you put Descent into Avernus and you just say, let's fucking go and see what happens.
Be extremely careful playing Descent into a Lich effect. Holy shit.
Nah, you know what? This is awesome, Quinn. Let's fucking do it.
Huge yikes.
Let's lose the game as fast as possible.
If I sure as heck can't be the best, I could sure as hell be the worst. And hashtag YOLO, get in the crab bucket with me. I do not think maybe I will do that, but like, I don't know. It's a fun thing to think about, and I got enough magic cards, you know. I can make the dream work. I have both form ofs, and I think I have a Lich's Mastery. So like, I got at least 3 components of this. So like, I got
Marty
another
Draco Lich. Let's do it.
I got another 97 cards to go. You know.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. Well, gamers, I think it's about time for us to wrap things on up here.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is normally where Fitz would mention a technical death metal band, but it's not his podcast.
No, but let's do that anyway. Fitz, tell me about what you're listening to.
Actually, this weekend, the Black Dahlia Murder, their new album, Servitude, came out. It's the band's first full-length release since the vocalist committed suicide 2 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
And they're one of my favorite bands. It was, I liked it. It's different, obviously, but it was good that group of dudes, kept on shredding and are, still making music.
Yeah, I imagine that's a sort of the kind of thing where you would not be surprised to not hear any more music from that band again, and to actually get another album after something like that probably feels pretty good.
The vocalist Trevor was such a driving force of the band for like 20 years too, so it was definitely seemed like it might have been curtains for them when he took his own life.
I mean,
I'm glad they're still making music.
It's always interesting, like, even when you're not just talking about musicians or bands, how sometimes there's just someone who was the glue to hold the band together, and like, when they go, it's like, you know what, it's probably curtain call for this whole group. And then it's pretty great, the fact that they actually did manage to come back after a couple years, figure what's up, figure what's the next step, and come out with a new album. That's awesome. How many songs are on the list? Was it 10, 9? But like one of them is like like 10 minutes.
Dude.
One of them's 12 minutes
look at
long.
the track list.
No, it's 10 minutes. It's 10 songs.
Okay, that's awesome.
Swag. As for me, gamers, I have been listening to I actually don't know how this is like said out loud. I've only ever seen it written, but like Sade, it looks like it, like Sade, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. So anyway, been listening to that band a lot, and got fucking jump scared actually listening to Kiss of Life by them, because there's a sample in there used on a track that I'd heard already, the instrumental for Doomsday by MF Doom, which like on the instrumental album is by Metal Fingers and called Saffron, is like where I heard that from. But like, to just like be listening to a track independently of that, like not even looking for it, and you're just like, oh, that's the sample. Like, that's a wild experience.
I haven't been listening to any new albums, but one of my favorite musicians, Blue Stolly, announced that he did some of the soundtrack for the Mortal Kombat expansion they did. Which, like, if you like Technic, electric, rock, well, I wouldn't say rock and roll, but like industrial metal type of music, like, probably take a listen to that, because I just like that guy's stuff. I've liked that guy's stuff for years. My music is so all over the place. It's crazy, but I don't know.
We contain multitudes. It's fine.
Yep. And then I'll listen to some
I also
Japanese.
really like that new album by Makeup and Vanity Set.
I need to listen to that one after I heard it was recommended.
It sounds like Gundam ass drum and bass.
Oh, you know what? When Andy hit us with the it's a Gundam D&B like list of stuff, and I was just like, fuck, I gotta load up Armored Core 6 and fucking play it to this shit, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. It's
yeah, dude.
Oh, I'm a sucker for that shit. But yeah, Fitz, thank you for coming on and palling it up with us for fucking nearly 3 goddamn hours. Goddamn.
Yeah, it's been lit. Thank you so much for coming through.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the folks where they can find you online and all that again?
Yeah, you can find me everywhere on the internet at MrFitzyFitz. If it's someone else, they're trying to steal my identity.
And if it's Mr. Ristic Studies, it's probably Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, that is not me. I do not.
As much as I want you to, but no, you have a thing. You have a brain.
No, he beat me to the punch by a long time.
By like 8+ years.
Good on him. Yeah, exactly.
Casual Sevens continues eventually.
Yeah,
eventually.
Listen to that. It's
but
real good.
The backlog's
I've got
good.
a backlog that's also real good. You should absolutely marathon that. You'll have fun.
everywhere podcasts are available.
Mm-hmm. And then as for us, as usual, HBVC_MTG on Twitter. That's the hub. Or, hit us up on Spotify or YouTube. I think I only put one little secret image in the last YouTube video, and I'm hoping maybe I can flesh it out for this upcoming one. I'm at Uncommon CMDR and TMG, Quinn's at Girl Dick Energy, on the Inferno burning hole that is Twitter. And that's it for this awesome episode. We'll see you on the next soapbox.
Hell yeah. Be excellent to each other. Later, gamers.
Bye.